Hey Froggy friends, Kirostyle here, welcome back to Granblue Fantasy Relink. Thank you so much for joining me here on stream! Hope you guys are all doing well today. Let's see who's here. Reaper, congratulations on being first. Ash, it's good to see you. Angora, welcome to the stream. Mabu, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you guys are all doing well today. So, we have 3 more Fate episodes to complete in the game. Zeta, Vasaraga, and Yodara. Now, in addition to being the last 3 characters on the crewmate list, they're also all involved in the society. Well, Yoda, sort of, not really. So I thought it was good to group them all together. So I did unlock them all off stream, so I'm going to include a clip of that happening here so you can see me testing them out on the Sir Berold. Let's recruit the rest of our characters. So we have Yoda, Zeta, and Vasaraga left. Yoda is a jolly old fisherman who's content with passing his days atop his mountain home. He was once a famed swordmaster with many pupils, but that was a long time ago.
Cat! Heard you've needed my blade!
Let's try him out.
Guess I haven't had me a good roll for a while.
Yodara was once a renowned swordsman with many disciples. He handles 2 swords at will with blinding speed, making him adept at high-speed combos and counters. Press Y after an X combo for a fearsome finisher that can be chained into another combo. The chain combos will get shorter, meaning more chances to execute finishers. Yodara gains a triple shroud marker whenever he completes a combo. Triple shroud marks enhance the next skill used and are automatically consumed upon activation.
Reel him in! You're wide open! It's curtain for ya! Run like a book! Reel him in! It's curtain for ya! Reel him in! You're wide open!
That combo finisher is pretty cool.
It's curtain for ya! Schooled like a fish! Played like a fiddle! Guys, you're wide open! Have at ya! Ha! Try to keep up! How's about we end it? They'll never see it coming!
Oh, he's got a mirror image like Lancelot does.
Schooled like you're wide open! Run like a bull! Reel him in! Over here, you cunt! No running from me! Played like a fiddle! Schooled like a fish!
You hold Y, he does a counter, and then he lunges when you let go.
Try to keep up! You're wide open! I've had it! You will taste my blade! So long, ultimate flag! Oh, Butterfingers!
I feel like whenever I play co-op with people and someone's playing Yoda and he does the Skybound art, it's like a jump scare. Now, Zeta, a daring warrior who hunts primal beasts for the Society. Contractor to the sealed weapon known as Spear of Arvis, she uses her speed to great effect in battle. I'm told she plays kind of like a Dragoon in FF14, with animation lock and everything.
Need backup? I'm your girl. Let's do this, Arvis!
Zeta works for the Society, a group that hunts primal beasts. She's armed with a seal weapon named Arvis, and she excels at counters and speedy aerial attacks. She'll high jump off a foe after using an X combo or certain skills. Press X while airborne to dive bomb the foe. With well-timed X presses, she'll enter an attack loop. Pressing Y allows Zeta to set up for a counter, and if successful, she'll high jump after countering. Press X or Y while airborne to perform different attacks.
One more! Just try to run away. First one's free! Oh,
I can see how you'd get animation locked doing this.
over here! Bring it! One more! Keep up! Jump! Just try to run away. I'll wipe them out! Got him! Infinite wonder! Art back! Break the limit! Rain of fury! Over here! Come on! Jump! Try to run away! Eat dust! Infinite wonder! Art back! One more! Just try to run away. I'll wipe them out! You listen up! This spear has no equal!
Pretty cool. And lastly, Vasaraga, a Droth warrior who hunts primal beasts for the Society. Contracted to the seal weapon known as the Great Scythe Grinoth, he uses his incredible strength and unyielding spirit to overwhelm his foes.
Sorry I'm late.
Squad's all here.
They must have a death wish.
Vasaraga works for the Society, a group that hunts primal beasts. He's armed with a seal weapon named Great Scythe Grinoth. To foes, he's the Grim Reaper incarnate. Vasaraga combines X and Y to create combos. Press Y to grant the Stout Heart status effect to himself. Vasaraga can charge his Y attack following an X attack. Landing charged Y attacks fills the Grinoth gauge, which grants various buffs once the gauge reaches certain levels. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's pretty cool.
You're dead! Coward! You can't Stop fear! Step up! I'll cut you all down!
Ooh.
Umbral Eclipse!
Couldn't float in midair.
Come if you dare! Try and stop me! Battalions of fear! The moon set! Good night! Death awaits!
I like the sound effect of the dummy getting back up. It's like boing, boing.
You're dead! Great Cyprenov, I beseech you! Bloody move!
Framed very much like his Versus special. I mean, obviously, because they're both based on the same mobile game.
Don't be a stranger.
Now we have Yoda, Zeta, and Vasaraga. Hobbies: looking for Vasaraga's weak spots. We have seal weapons. So there's all like society stuff. So now we have all the characters, at least until the DLC characters come out. Awesome. And we are ready to go. So Zeta and Vasaraga are members of a group called the Society, along with Eustace and Beatrix, who you might recognize from Granblue Versus, although Eustace and Beatrix are not in this game. But the Society is a pretty beloved group of characters, kind of like the four Dragon Knights are also pretty beloved. The Society is basically a group of primal hunters. They work for a group called the Society. They're very mysterious, and they are given special weapons to defeat primals. And then later on, they find out there's this whole conspiracy plot, and they end up going to the moon. And that's one of actually the Granblue mobile game's anniversary events. It's the conclusion of the Society arc. Now, Yoda here is a special character because he is not part of the Society, but he is involved in one of the Society events, which kind of makes it fitting that he's here. But if you don't know who Yoda is, he's actually kind of infamous in the game, in the mobile game, or at least he used to be, mostly because, you know, usually when you meet Yoda, he has an R version of his character, like the lowest level rarity. He's water type, and basically he's just an old man, he's a fisherman, but it's kind of revealed in the story that he seems to know a little bit more than he lets on. He seems to be quite skilled with a sword. And then it turns out that he's actually a master swordsman, and then they released his SSR version, which is also water element originally. He later got a wind version. And he was very infamous because a lot of new players get recommended to get him. So in the game, there's something called a surprise ticket or a start dash. Basically, there are opportunities for you to just spend money and purchase a single character of your choice from the character pool that's non-limited. So a start dash is for new players. They have an option of doing that. It's usually around, it's 3,000 yen, so it's about $30 US, give or take. And then once every couple months, they have a surprise ticket, which you can spend money and get a character in the gacha. So back then in the day, a lot of people recommend to new people to get Yoda, and a lot of people would, you know, acknowledge, okay, Yoda may not be your flavor of character in terms of appearance, but he's very useful. And that is pretty true, because when in the game, in the mobile game, when Yoda does his Skybound art or charge attack, or Ogi in the Japanese version, he does like 9,999 plane damage, which is unelemental damage. Basically, it works on every type of enemy regardless of what their elemental weakness is. And that's really useful because as a new player, it's hard to reach that amount of power. Like as a veteran player, it's very easy, but as a new player, it's hard to reach those numbers. And so with him, you could just easily do it without needing to farm up powerful weapons or anything else. And that's very useful for early game raids for a new player, and it's also very useful for slime blasting, which I mentioned before is like, back in the day, to get a lot of XP really quickly, you would fight slimes, and slimes only really take damage from non-elemental damage, so Yoda was pretty important there. Nowadays, you know, people don't really need him for that anymore, but he does have an important place in Granblue history for that. So it's kind of interesting they put him in this game. Obviously, they wanted more male Harvins, and you know, in Versus, it's a little bit hard because the Harvins need to be tall enough to have a hitbox, or floating, or have a hat, or something like that. But Yoda doesn't have that. But in this game, it works out because you don't necessarily need that. Kind of funny that both the wind characters in this game are also not natively wind characters, because Gran can be any element. In fact, base Gran is actually fire element in his fighter class. And Yoda was originally a water character, which is kind of interesting. Hey Rin, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for stopping by. So since the last stream, I've also been farming, of course, Proto-Bahamut. And I actually got a really good Proto-Bahamut group the other day. Actually, I took a screenshot. I forgot to add it to my OBS, so give me a second, I will add it. And it was a really good group. We did it like, we farmed Proto-Bahamut like 6 or 7 times, and they were super fast. Here they are. And this was the best time we got, 3 minutes and 14 seconds, which is really fast. He didn't even get a chance to do Supernova, which is awesome. There was even one time that we got him down to like 12% before he got before he went and did Supernova, and then he just immediately went into Enrage because it was super fast. So it was great. The group was awesome, and we farmed it out. But I didn't get any new weapons from this group. However, when I got back from farming with this group, and I checked my curios, I finally got the War Elemental sigil, which of course is very powerful and I've been wanting for a while, and is a low drop rate, so I was like, finally! Okay, it was totally worth it. So now I finally have War Elemental, and then now my Vayne is powerful, and I can actually reliably reach 1 billion honors on Proto-Bahamut, because I was always kind of hovering in the 700 to 900,000 range, so that was pretty exciting. In fact, the day before, I was actually farming with Onerio, and he got War Elemental, and then the next day I got War Elemental, and then a couple hours later, Euro got War Elemental, so now we all have War Elemental, already up for Lucilius. Unfortunately, I still don't have Supplementary Damage 5, although I have some good Supplementary Damage 4s. And I have still not rolled any Vayne character sigils, so it's a little bit unfortunate. So my Vayne right now, actually, let me take him out. My Vayne build is good, but it's not perfect yet, but... So I took off Hero's Creed because it wasn't as important, because I need to make room for War Elemental and another damage cap. And I still haven't gotten any sigils that have auto-revive as a secondary for some reason, so it's still kind of sitting there on its own, unfortunately. So I'm going to keep rolling, but hopefully I'll get something eventually. So yeah, the Stout Heart one was annoying to farm, but I think it's worth it. I'm going to farm out a Stout Heart for Cagliostro and Rosetta, because that one is very useful, especially because Rosetta has such a long startup time on. So the Stout Heart is nice because you can buy it from Shiro. However, you need to farm like Tayuatar, which is not a hard fight, but I feel like the drop rate for the item wasn't very good. And you need 5 Tayuatar heads for that item. And also, we're too powerful, so we kill Tayuatar too quickly because you get a guaranteed head drop if you break his head. But if you're too strong, you kill him before you're able to break his head, which is really annoying. And then you also need to farm like Id and Magliel and Galanza, which are also annoying, but luckily you only need like 1 or 2 of their drops, so that's a bit of a troublesome. So I will do that eventually, but it's not as big of a requirement on my part because I'm only doing it for my computer NPCs, so they're a little bit more efficient. So but before we get going, I did want to mention on a previous stream, I was like, I got the in-game achievement for doing 100 side quests, and there's 110 side quests in the game. There's a Steam achievement for doing all the side quests in the game, and I haven't gotten it. And some people said it was glitched, because you have to like keep doing that repeatable quest, the 2 repeatable quests in Folka over and over again, and I did that so many times and I haven't gotten it. So I looked up a guide, because now, the game's been out for a month, there's more guides, and turns out there's another quest that spawned inside the church. And the church people do not appear on the map when you're outside of the church. So I was like, oh. So I've been missing this one. Hey, Roland. So I talked to them earlier and already did the quest. I've heard dreadful news. A monster called Girasine summons the unholy dead to roam the land as skeletons. Mighty Skyfarers, would you smite this wretch?
Mission complete.
Okay, so I think I still have 1 more quest from this person. Oh, they don't have it. I'm still missing 1 more quest then. Because I looked at a quest. Oh, here you are. Hello. Ice wreathed Scarmiglion. It rears its skull once more. I fear what may happen if we leave it to our own devices. To its own devices. Would you please destroy this menace? So I'll do that near the end of the stream, just because. And Cygames, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. Yeah, 18 months. That's incredible. A year and a half. Thank you so much for your support and coming to my streams. I really appreciate it. If you're missing the side quests in the game, also don't forget there's that lady in Seed Hollow, and she has like an 18 side quest chain just to herself. And they're not repeatable. I thought they were repeatable quests, but apparently they're not. Here, I'll be Vasaraga since he's cool. Oh, he is so large. Okay, so today we're gonna do our Fate episodes for Zeta, Vasaraga, and Yoda. And then we'll do that last side quest so I can turn it in and get the achievement.
Come to view the requests?
So, should be a shorter stream today since we're only doing 3 characters. So I know Yoda appears higher on the list than Zeta and Vasaraga here, but we're going to do this because it's a society-themed day today. Oh yeah, and I also got the Terminus weapons for Zeta and Narmaya, so I'm really only missing... Actually, I'm really only missing... So I have Zeta's weapon, Gaibulg, and Narmaya's Amino Habakiri. So I'm just missing Charlotta, and Vasaraga, and Yoda. So I'll get to those eventually.
Yes, can I help you?
Zeta is a gallant warrior who hunts primal beasts for the society. She often carries out duties with her partner Vasaraga. Though they may butt heads, they trust each other. Prologue, Crimson Contractor.
When people ask me why I joined the society, I always give them the same answers. To get my hands on sick weapons, because the work was fun, and because I liked busting my butt and actually getting rewarded for it.
Also, I just feel like I have to mention this here. In like the original Granblue mobile game, Zeta, instead of wearing like Here she has like short pants. They are not pants in the original game. So of course, when they release Versus and Relink here in the West, they actually quote-unquote censored by giving her pants. And some people were so outraged, like ridiculously outraged. There's like people complaining everywhere. Not like everywhere, but there's like a vocal small minority of people complaining about it. And I think some people have modded it into the game, but it's just a little ridiculous, I think. I just feel like that's worth mentioning because it's just so... I think Matera had the same thing happen to her too in Versus. People are so funny.
Sure, the society talked a good game about spreading freedom and protecting the Sky Realm's peace. But it wasn't like I ever set out to be a hero. But hunting primal beasts with badass seal weapons? Sign me the hell up. Too bad there weren't enough weapons to go around. Only the best of the best become weapon contractors. Of course, I knew from the start I was contractor material. Wasn't long before I was making a pact with the Spear of Arves. What a hot little number. Now, did I feel bad for those who didn't make the cut? Yeah, a little. But I earned my position, and no one was gonna take that away from me. It wasn't about becoming rich or famous. It was about proving my worth. I don't like being undersold or underrated, you know? Best part was, as a weapon contractor, I had dibs on the deadliest missions. And those were perfect for showing everyone what I was made of. And damn, did the society have its fair share of enemies. The worst of which was an evil coalition we simply called the Foe, who only seemed to care about sowing chaos. As soon as I became a contractor, I was thrown into battle with the Foe. Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. My orders were explicit. Eliminate on sight. There were some days when the bloodshed took its toll on me. But then I'd remind myself that these villains were out to wreck the skies. When I wasn't putting bad guys into the ground, I hunted primal beasts to gather their battle data. See, seal weapons aren't just good at taking down primals. They absorb their powers, too. That's what makes our vest so special. The more primals it crushes, the stronger it gets. Imagine how unstoppable I'll be once I supercharge this bad boy. So, to recap, my average work week looks like this. Slay foes and primals, get paid, then splurge all that cash on my days off. Look, if you're gonna work hard, you might as well play hard, right?
She explained a little bit more than I thought she would about that. So yeah, the society's enemy is called the Foe, which, again, they have such vague names. Hey Johan, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today. Wait. Episode 1, The Most Freedom. Zeta joined an organization called the Society, not because she sympathized with their goals, but because they reward their members via meritocracy. She spends her days slaying primal beasts, clashing with a rival organization called the Foe, and spoiling herself with her hard-earned cash.
Before I joined the Society, I used to lead a group of knights. It was all fun and games, until the local lord tried to adopt me as his daughter. I never cared for social status, and I sure as hell didn't want to be tied down by expectations. My life, my reins. So I said so long to my compatriots. Was nice knowing ya. But if playing by my own rules was so important to me, then why'd I throw in with the captain's crew? Well, I didn't do it just for funsies. My master plan was to have the crew members join the Society too, which would have bought me a ton of brownie points with the higher-ups. But journeying with the crew changed me. I met people from all walks of life, and I grew as a person. I started thinking I'd be better off following the crew instead of the Society. I'm a natural-born fighter. Maybe I could put myself to better use elsewhere. Because honestly, becoming a contractor wasn't my main reason for seeking out the Society. In the end, I just figured they were the organization that offered me the most freedom.
Episode 2, Oil and Water. Zeta was once a member of a band of knights. Never one for formality, an incident one day led her to leave her post. Working for the Society later, she met Kiro and became familiar with the crew. Freely soaring the skies, Zeta honed her skills, always finding a fight to be in. Oil and water.
So if it wasn't clear by now, I like doing things my way. Which brings me to a constant thorn in my side. Vasaraga, the annoying half of my two-man cell. Considering it was Drill Sergeant Ilsa who assigned us together, I figured she knew what she was doing. Yeah, no. Vasaraga and I gelled like oil and water. Did Ilsa really expect us to have good team chemistry? I think sticking him with me was an attempt to keep him from going off the deep end. Only later did I find out he'd been through some pretty traumatic events in his life. It scarred him, both physically and emotionally. Maybe that's why he can be borderline suicidal whenever someone else's life is at stake. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for helping people. I'm just saying it's 100% possible to play hero without throwing your life away. I remember this one time when we got trapped in a life-or-death situation because of his screw-up. You should have heard the rage I was spewing. Know what he did next? He apologized, which just felt out of character coming from him. Like, even though it was your fault we're in this mess, don't just throw in the towel, man. Ugh, it was so frustrating. Who knew that big lug could be so sensitive? On the flip side, I can't help but be honest. I like what I like, and I hate what I hate. I don't want anyone getting the wrong impressions about me. I might say things that ruffle a few feathers, but I stand by my words. I can't take back what I've already said. Anyway, I'd rather be true to myself than be something I'm not. That's just the kind of gal I am.
Episode 3, Half-Baked Proposal. By her superior Ilsa's orders, Zeta begins working alongside Vasaraga, but the man's wild and uncooperative nature proves a headache. Struggling to fulfill their duties, she one day learns of Vasaraga's sad past. It is then she realizes why she was chosen to be the reckless Vasaraga's partner. Oh wait, I forgot to look at everyone's costumes.
Have a nice day.
Or color palettes, I forgot. I usually do that with characters we haven't seen yet. Oh, this one must be a Beatrix outfit, although her hair hasn't changed color. What about Vasaraga? He has some pretty good color palettes. And Yoda.
Hello there.
Okay, back to this. Half-Baked Proposal.
It was good to be back in Seed Hollow after wrapping up another easy-peasy mission. Since my schedule was empty, I decided to hit up a cute little cafe for some much-deserved cake.
Hello there.
Some little kid I've never seen before walked right up to me, his eyes twinkling with starstruck awe. He got down on one knee and said,
Will you marry me?
Excuse me? Kid? Excuse me?
"Was this kid for real? Did he even know what he was asking?" You've got guts, little man. Tell you what, come find me in a decade or so, and then maybe we'll talk.
Don't tease him and give him hope.
I thought a gentle rejection would get him off my back, but I was wrong.
If you walk away now, you'll be making the biggest mistake of your life.
He sounds like one of those nice guys.
I knew better than to take the bait, but I had to admit, I was sort of curious. Okay, hotshot, I'll bite. Why are you asking a total stranger like me to marry you? At least he had a good eye. Credit where credit's due.
Also, I can't help but always think, I like Zeta's like long black sleeve things, but they would be so annoying in battle. Especially since she uses a lance, they would be so annoying.
Because I know you're strong. You make stomping monsters look so easy. Oh, and you're really pretty too.
Wow, what do you know? A sweet talker.
And your spear is wicked cool. How many monsters can you shish kebab with that thing?
I should have known. Boys love the heroic stuff. 10, 20? It doesn't matter. The real prize is in hunting primal beasts. Oh, wait, you guys don't call them that. I meant primeval gods. I've got a soft spot for children, especially the ones who hang on my every word. You try ignoring the adorable little scamps. In any case, it seemed clear that this boy was genuinely head over heels for me.
So, how about it? Will you marry me?
Nope.
Aw, come on.
Come on! Marry me!
Word of advice, don't spring a marriage proposal on an unsuspecting woman. Catch you later, little man. Maybe we'll chat some other time. I ruffled his hair and started walking off.
I'm not giving up.
The tyke knew how to dream big. If only a certain grumpy lug I knew had the same level of optimism.
Okay, this is an interesting premise. This is not what I expected for her Fate episodes. Episode 4, A Modest Gift. While stopping in Seed Hollow after a job, Zeta receives a marriage proposal from an unfamiliar boy far younger than herself. She lets it pass as a childish joke, but the boy doggedly and earnestly refuses to give up. A Modest Gift.
Oh, hi, Azeta. Fancy running into you here. You're just as pretty as the first time we met.
Did she tell him her name?
I had started to wonder if I'd ever see the little heartbreaker again. Guess I got my answer. We talked for a bit, and I learned his name was Vaughn. I knew which question he wanted to pop, but I didn't have time to humor him today. A hospital in Seed Hollow was in dire need of medicinal ingredients, so it was off to Fondom for me and the crew.
Okay, gotcha. I understand.
Well, that was easy, considering how he kept pestering me. I didn't expect him to be so reasonable.
I know better than to get in the way of your job. I am a little worried, but I'm sure the monsters won't give you any trouble.
You got that right. I eat monsters for breakfast. Aw, how sweet. The little doodlebug had total faith in me.
Doodlebug.
Stay safe out there. Come back in one piece.
I will. As I left to meet up with the crew, I made a mental note to pick up a souvenir for my biggest little fan.
Oh, that's nice.
Sweet. I think that's everything on the list.
Good, cause this heat's killing me. Let's get back to the ship.
I decided to only take a group of 3 since we're just using these characters today. And if I brought anyone else that I usually bring, they'll probably just one-shot everything, so...
Can we please get moving? I'm turning into jerky over here. What the?
Oh! You sign this place is ready to blow sky high?
Well, I'm not sticking around to find out. Let's keep moving.
Being boiled alive is bad enough. Now I gotta deal with wyverns?
I think the ground's
No
sinking
place to
into the
hide.
magma.
What? Screw these flying lizards! Where's the exit?
9, 10, back to the boy!
You can do this
Can't go
all
that
day.
way. Just grab ingredients, they said. It'll be easy, they said.
Oops.
Fight!
Ah, fire spirits!
I'm sorry I ever set foot in this oven.
Oh, they just exploded on the lava.
Ah!
Rock and roll!
Got him!
Empty fish! Try to keep up.
Oh, I got stranded. Oh, I made it.
Shadow!
I didn't think I was actually on a timer.
If we can get to that higher ground over there, that should lead us back outside.
Can you pick up the pace? The magma's rising even faster!
I was kind of fooling around because I thought that they were giving me time to actually like
Jerk! Watch
try out my skills.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, Yoda, you can stop counting.
Do it! It's over!
Say your prayers!
I can always count on you.
Ah, yeah. Quit trying to.
I think we're safe here. Maybe.
Man, I really worked up a sweat. At least we didn't lose anyone.
Grand Cypher's just up ahead. Come on!
Oh, I wasn't expecting like a mini pseudo cutscene.
What are the odds of bumping into a golem in here?
Who knew I had so many fervent fans? Thanks for making a gal feel loved. And to show my appreciation, I'm gonna turn you to scrap.
Way to fight, man! Take that sucker down!
That's the plan. One pile of rebels coming right up. Okay, this definitely qualifies. Say your prayers. Hey, what's this? A piece of rock from the golem? I like the way it glitters. Might make a neat souvenir for a certain someone I know. Hell yeah! Score one for us!
Modest gift.
Welcome back, Zeta!
Vaughn was the first person to greet me when I returned to Seed Hollow. He ran over to me like an overexcited puppy. Here, I got you a little something for being good.
Whoa! This rock is crazy! It's all shiny and stuff!
I'm a pro at picking out gifts, if I do say so myself. After all, what kid isn't mesmerized by shiny objects? Vaughn wouldn't stop thanking me. I honestly didn't think he'd like it that much. But in this case, I was happy to be wrong.
It's amazing how you made it out of Fondom without a scratch! You're a one-woman wrecking crew!
Can't argue with the truth.
Anyway, it's cool that you're being nice to me, but I don't mind when you play hard to get either.
Oh my god, kid, just give up.
Huh? The nerve of this kid.
Are you blushing?
What? His confidence was respectable. Admirable, even. But seriously, get real, little man.
This guy is very confident.
Talking to you makes my head spin.
Does that mean you're falling for me?
No, it means I'm worried about your future. Years from now, Vaughn's gonna be breaking hearts left and right. Mark my words.
Vaughn should go meet the Lowain crew.
Hello there. Here it is.
Episode 5. Picnic for 2. After a job in Fondom, Zeta brings back a beautiful stone she picked up as a souvenir for Vaughn. He's delighted, as expected, and him being a child, she refuses to entertain the affection he shows her. This week, Vasaraga actually participates in her episodes.
Hey there, Zeta! So glad I caught you again.
How did he always know when I was in Seed Hollow? He was clueless to his clinginess, and it was testing my patience.
Because he's a stalker.
Are you free today? I was thinking we could go on a picnic.
Honestly, do you know what? This plays out exactly like how I would imagine, like, some kind of Persona social link.
I mulled it over for a bit. A picnic didn't sound half bad. It was a nice day, after all.
Oh no. Is this a bad time?
His puppy dog eyes bore into my soul. How could I say no to that? Kids just have this way of triggering your protective instincts. Not to mention they can be terrifyingly perceptive. You know what? The weather's great today. So, count me in. His face lit up with joy. And I turned to my next important decision. What to have for lunch. I didn't have to think too hard about that. When it came to picnics, sandwiches were the only way to go.
This must be the lad I've heard so much about.
A few days earlier, I was in the ship's lounge telling the captain about Vaughn, when Vasaraga happened to walk in. So he ended up learning about the kid, too. He listened without saying much. Never was the talkative type, anyway.
Hi, mister. I'm Vaughn.
I half expected Vaughn to cower from Vasaraga, but instead the boy dropped a friendly hello. Maybe he had a strict upbringing.
Call me Vasaraga.
Vasaraga looked at me, then at Vaughn, then back at me again. What did he want?
So that's how it is. Here, Zeta. Take these.
I peeked into the bag he gave me and did a double take. It was stuffed with fruit sandwiches.
These come highly recommended by Vern, Lyria, and the captain. You should split them with Vaughn.
Oh, how nice of you, Vasaraga.
For the both of us. Huh. Call me crazy, but it almost sounded like he went out of his way to buy these for us. I rummaged through the goods and caught sight of one sandwich stuffed with melon slices and another with peaches. Nice. Those are my favorites.
That does sound tasty. I know fruit sandwiches are not too much of a North American thing, but they are more common in Asia.
Hey, great pickups, Vasaraga. Can't wait to scarf these down.
Go for it.
Cha-ching! Jackpot! Vaughn and I said our goodbyes to Vasaraga, and we found an open bench in a park just outside the city.
You look really happy. Are you a big fruit fan?
I was jamming an ungodly amalgamation of fruit, bread, and whipped cream into my face. I think that counts as a yes. Yeah, more or less. I like anything as long as it's tasty.
Ah, that's good to know.
I like anything as long as it's tasty. That anyone could say something like that.
There was no chance in hell Vasaraga picked out these cute sandwiches all by himself. Absolutely none. Someone in the crew must have tagged along. The thought of him stomping through the aisles of a shop filled with cupcakes and cookies drew a chuckle out of me.
So, are you and Vasaraga an item?
Are we an item? Gross! Is that what it looks like to you? Look, he's just my coworker. I'm kind of stuck with him.
Uh-huh.
He opened his mouth as if he had more to say, but I guess he changed his mind. We ended up having a fascinating chat about bugs instead.
Episode 6, Facing Facts. Zeta sees Vaughn again back in Seed Hollow and is invited on a picnic. Vasaraga, happening to be present, offers them the sandwiches he was making. He didn't say that he was making the sandwiches, he said he bought them. The two make their way over to a park just outside of town and have a friendly chat. Facing Facts.
Good afternoon, Zeta. It's always nice to see you.
It was another gorgeous day. Vaughn came bounding over to see me for like, what, the 100th time? Or maybe even millionth?
I wanted to give you something to say thanks for the souvenir you got me. I hope you like it.
He held out a beautifully wrapped box, its sides emblazoned with the logo of a world-class bakery. I didn't know what to say. Kids ought to be spending their lunch money on cheap snacks, not fancy pants pastries. Are you sure you want me to have this? How could you even afford this with pocket change?
Don't you know it's discourteous to appraise the worth of one's gift?
How do you know big words like that?
Papa told me.
Oh, great. Don't tell me he got his family involved.
I wanted to show you how much I care, so I saved up my allowance. Zero Carte helped me pick a shop that's popular with girls.
Of course Shiro helped.
Vaughn stared at the ground as he spoke, stealing an occasional glance at me to gauge my reaction. He had put his feelings out there in the only way he knew how. And it was all coming to a head. In a situation like this, I had to be firm yet considerate.
Hey Armand, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping
I
by.
could never live with myself if I trampled over his heart, even if I didn't mean to.
I thought for sure you'd like it. I guess I was wrong.
He kicked at the dirt, still unwilling to meet my gaze. Wow. As if I didn't feel guilty enough already. What are you talking about? This is an awesome gift. Thank you. As soon as I said that, his toothy smile came roaring back with a vengeance. But from now on, you can't give me any more presents.
Why not?
In one fell swoop, he turned my words against me. Poor boy was on the verge of tears. His voice quivered as he explained his intent. He had seen how delighted I was with Vasaraga's gift of sandwiches, and all he wanted was to deliver that same joy. Oh, you sweet darling boy. You've got a lot to learn, but your heart's in the right place. I'd hate to leave you jaded. I decided that honesty was the best course of action. No more tiptoeing around the issue. It's a lovely gift, but I'm worried you're not eating enough to grow big and strong. That's why I want you to spend your money on snacks for yourself, okay?
Okay, got it.
Got it. She wants me to become big and strong for her. Got it.
Way to go, Zeta. So much for being upfront with him. I'm glad you understand. Now why don't we dig into this yummy treat together?
Sure. I'd be happy to feed you.
Oh my goodness, this kid.
Why, you conniving little... My hands work just fine, thank you very much.
Phooey.
Where is this Fate episode going? Like, what's happening over here? Hey, Triangle! Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for following me and being a froggy friend. Welcome, welcome. Episode 7. New Little Brother. Vaughn gives Zeta a wrapped box from a fancy patisserie. The decidedly unchildlike present proves the earnestness of Vaughn's feelings, so Zeta decides to acknowledge them properly and insists that he not overextend himself from now on. New Little Brother.
From now on, I'm gonna prove that we're meant for each other.
Oh my goodness, this kid.
The talk I had with Vaughn yesterday only intensified his resolve. I asked him what he had in mind.
First, I'll get to know you better, Zeta.
A little late for that, but at least he was thinking in the right direction.
Let me see. Okay, first question. What's your type of guy?
Subtlety wasn't Vaughn's strongest point. How to be compatible with your partner is something you should figure out for yourself.
Huh? But I don't know how to do that. It's faster just to ask.
This kid.
Do you like strong guys?
You could say that. I prefer someone who knows how to fend for themselves. Means I don't have to worry about them as much.
Well, that's perfect then.
Vaughn stood up straight and tall and proudly puffed out his chest.
I'm still in the middle of sword training, but I'm the best out of all the kids in the class. Even the bigger ones.
Am I gonna have to rescue him because he's gonna go off into like the forest by himself to prove himself to me or something?
Already outclassing the older kids, huh? Not bad, not bad. I wonder how I stacked up when I was his age.
Now do you love me?
Oh, come on, kid.
Not even close.
Phooey.
His reactions cracked me up. There was never a dull moment with this kid.
There has to be a way for me to win your heart.
I'm sorry, but that was just too precious.
It almost sounded like she swore under her breath when she did the sound effect.
I didn't mean to laugh, but his frustration caught me off guard. He was trying so hard against the odds to win me over. If we were around the same age, things might have been different.
I don't care about being precious. I care about you.
The more he sulked, the harder it became to hold in my giggles. Sorry. I patted his head in an attempt to lighten the mood, but he wasn't having it. Bahamut saved me. This kid was so sweet he was gonna give me cavities.
But I thought the episode was called New Little Brother. I thought they would come to some kind of reconciliation where he would accept being more of a brother character to her. Episode 8, Crimson and Ebony. Vaughn suddenly states he'll start working hard to marry Zeta, his feelings seemingly renewed by the events of the other day. Advised to think for himself how to become someone who balances his partner, he brags about his proficiency with a sword. Zeta can't help but find it precious how Vaughn's emotions are like an open book. Okay, I don't have any sigils on Zeta, but you know what? I should be fine. Crimson and Ebony.
The air in Seed Hollow that morning was electric. I hadn't felt that amped up in a good while. Time to get this show on the road.
Roger that.
Vasaraga had met up with me right on schedule. I sucked in a lungful of the morning chill to calm my nerves.
Good morning, Zeta. Good morning, Vasaraga.
Morning. You're up awfully early today.
Where are you guys going?
Where is this kid's parents?
He must have sensed something big was in the works. The concern in his voice was clear as day. A couple of rough customers challenged us to a serious fight.
I want to come too. Can I, please?
It wasn't like him to try to tag along. He knew better than that. No can do, little man. This isn't a game.
But I've been practicing my sword swings every day. I can help you beat them.
Of all the days he could have picked to be fussy, why did it have to be today?
Sparring and actual combat are worlds apart. Pride goeth before destruction.
It was obvious from the frown on Vaughn's face that he wasn't going to take no for an answer. I need you to be good and listen to us, all right? We left Vaughn behind and made a beeline for Seed Hollow Castle. We stepped into its great hall, where Magliel and her sword veil were already waiting.
Oh, okay, because like in Ganda Goza's episode, we fought Galanza, so I was wondering if Magliel would make an appearance somewhere too, so I guess here it is.
Allow me to extend my utmost gratitude for taking the time to indulge my invitation.
I'm just kind of surprised that she challenged Zeta and Vasaraga. It just doesn't seem like the matchup I would expect.
Can the formalities. I came here to throw down, not listen to boring speeches.
I didn't think the castle would be okay with us doing battle within its walls.
Well, there are only a limited number of maps in this game that we can use as battle places, so...
Well, no one else was using the hall. Let's just say those who helped with the castle's restoration are afforded special privileges.
Well, Magliel, you're also one of the ones who caused the fall of the castle that needs restoring, just to be fair.
This woman, for all her pomp and circumstance, was no joke of a warrior.
I was curious as to whether your weapons are deserving of their legend. My fellowship prides itself with collecting only the most prized armaments.
Oh, okay, that makes sense why she would challenge them. I mean, one of her weapons is Gai Bulg, which is Zeta's terminus weapon.
Huh. I knew there had to be more to this call-out.
I'll get straight to the point. We are interested in purchasing your seal weapons. Allow me to appraise their performance during our little skirmish.
I like Magliel's English voice. My friend told me that she's voiced by the same woman who voices Jimmy Neutron, and I was like, what?
In other words, she was making us an offer we couldn't refuse. Even though this isn't a fight to the death, don't come crying to me when you get your asses handed to you. Magliel didn't respond. She simply smirked and an arsenal of magic swords materialized around her. I tightened my grip on our vest and took a deep breath. I thought back to all the times Vasaraga and I had cheated death. It made me feel invincible. This victory belonged to us.
Let's do this, Zeta.
Hell yeah! The words were barely out of my mouth before I was leaping into the fray.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do it inside the hall.
Is this a waltz of warriors? On guard! Now then, may I have the first dance?
Say what you will about her, but she's got plenty of style.
Don't get distracted.
Got him!
She's no ordinary foe.
Got him!
This body cannot be
Requiem!
Jerk!
Oh god. Maybe I should have actually equipped stuff.
Step up.
Let the rain fall!
Vasaraga, Yoda, what are you two doing? Are you just fighting Sword Veil guys over here?
Now it's on. Infinite wonder! This should...
You cannot hide from me.
Got him!
Where's Yoda? Oh wait, it's just the two of us. I forgot. That's why. Take care of these guys. There we go. Oh, come on, just stop flying up in the air.
Run quickly now!
Come if you dare. Well, that didn't do much.
Because her magic swords play offense and defense. We need to smash them.
A parting gift. A lady's perfect face. You're performing marvelously.
Oh, really? I haven't even gotten started yet.
That makes two of us. Now that we've limbered up, what say we ratchet up the tempo?
Infinite wonder!
My hands slip.
All right then.
Fine, you smarty. Oh! Stand down. I will not tolerate such shameful tactics.
Hey, if they want in, they'll spin off my back.
Oh no.
That
I mean,
way really cut.
you had ads earlier, girl.
All right then. Your words, not mine. Behold the quintessence of the sword fails.
Just my luck.
There you go.
Hey yo, welcome to the stream.
Try and stop me. Not bad.
Now it's on.
Hey Mondo, welcome in. Thanks for coming by the stream today. Is this Nier Automata? Kinda, I mean, the attacks kinda look like Nier Replicon
Nah, you put up a good fight. I'm down to spar again anytime.
from Maglio.
Jump it! Wing command! It's our turn now. No place to hide.
I grow weak. It's nearly time for the curtain to fall.
So you're starting to feel it too, huh?
My. Are you two ready to throw in the towel?
What a joke! If you want to test me, then let's go!
Hook, line, and sinker.
Summer forced by storm. Mjolnir!
I don't feel that.
Pistol wrested from demons. Try Google! Stave carved by divinity. Ridiculous! Spear sharpened by legend. Skybound! Stage is set for the big bang.
Infinite wonder!
Reach for your knife!
Hold on, Vaughn? What are you doing here?
I'm sorry. I couldn't stop worrying about you.
This situation is vexing, to say the least. Everyone, make sure no harm comes to the boy.
Yes, milady.
Well, that's nice of her.
On my mark!
Damn it, she flew in the air!
Good.
Jump it! Got him!
Damn it, I wanted to use my Skybound to finish her off.
That was a sight to see. Thank you both for exhibiting the beauty of Arves and Grinon.
You're not so bad yourself. Most people would have lost to us by now.
Honestly, I'm more...
Easy peasy.
I'm more surprised that her Fate episode didn't have Piet A as the boss. But maybe because Piet A is supposed to be kind of a surprise for the Proud quests.
You'd better have a good reason for sneaking in here, little man.
I didn't want you getting hurt. That's all.
Oh, why didn't you stay put like I told you to? I said this wasn't a game. There's no excuse for being a distraction on the battlefield. Every swordsman knows that, even rookies.
I like how Maglio doesn't even appear in any of the pictures for this Fate episode. And just like Galanza, she doesn't even say anything after they defeat her. Like in the written dialogue.
Vaughn fell silent, realizing he couldn't argue back. He just stood there with his head hanging down. Crap. Was I too hard on him? But here's the thing about warfare. If you're all valor and no discretion, you're gonna end up in a coffin real fast.
I messed up. I'm sorry.
Vaughn looked so miserable. It was like watching a kid choke down bitter medicine. What could I say to soften the blow?
You made a mistake, but your intentions were true. It takes courage to own up to one's error and apologize.
Vasaraga gently clapped the boy on the shoulder with his rugged mitt. Vaughn quickly perked up after that.
Vasaraga's hand is probably like the size of that kid's entire torso.
Vasaraga's like a giant teddy bear when it comes to kids. I can count on him to smooth things over when I get too preachy. No arguments there. Oh well. What's done is done. Me chewing you out isn't gonna change the past. Thanks, Vasaraga. I needed that save.
Hold on, Zeta. Don't move.
He reached up and applied a cool, damp salve onto my right cheek.
I wasn't lying when I said I was worried about you. See? You did get injured.
Hey, even the pros get banged up every now and then. It's not really an injury per se, more like a scratch. I'm amazed you even spotted it.
Just so you know, this medicine was made from the ingredients you collected. The hospital director was really happy for your help.
Sheesh. When was the last time someone coddled me this much over a tiny cut? I had to admit it felt nice. Thank you, Vaughn.
I think we're about done here. Come on, Vaughn. I'll take you home.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say Vaughn had taken a shine to the big guy. It wasn't hard to see why, given the way Vasaraga treated him with kid gloves and all.
You have my thanks for giving me a taste of Arves and Grinoth. You both handled those weapons with skill and finesse.
Oh, so you do say something, Magliel. Hello.
Damn right we did. You didn't even make us break a sweat.
Is that so?
I got the sense that this weapons nut wasn't actually invested in the fight itself. She just wanted an excuse to research Arves, and maybe to brag about her own collection. Kind of funny how just talking about tools of destruction sends her into a frenzy. Then again, I get hyped about testing my combat skills, so who am I to judge? By the way, I think we deserve a bit of compensation for our troubles.
Oh dear, how silly of me. You're right. I must pay the price for losing the challenge. I suppose I could bid farewell to my precious, beloved Gaibolg.
Well, joke's on you, I'm already equipped with it.
Oh, come on. Don't make me out to be the bad guy. How about this? Why don't you treat me to the tastiest dessert this Skydom has to offer? Magliel's frown vanished in the blink of an eye, and her tears dried up like magic. Though I'm not even sure she was crying in the first place.
Why, 'twould be my pleasure. Did you know there is a hidden gem of a bistro that serves pancakes topped with rare fruits right here in Seed Hollow?
Shut up! What kind of rare fruits are we talking about?
Again, it's just so funny that, like, you know, Id turned over a new leaf, and he's trying his best to, like, repent for everything he's done, and he's taking it really hard, and people are hating on him for it, and he's, like, trying to please the townfolk. Meanwhile, Magliel and Galanza, they're just continuing to do whatever they've been doing the whole time. Whatever. No repercussions.
She was literally bouncing with excitement.
Cultivated by only the greenest of green thumbs, each luxurious piece of nature's candy is a crowning achievement of sweetness. The cream of the crop, You simply must taste it to believe the capital's best-kept secret.
Huh. So you do have other hobbies outside of weapon collecting. Alrighty, you're on. I'll be in touch about dates and stuff.
Oh, so we actually learned a new thing about Magliel. Unlike Galanza, where he was just kind of the same as ever.
As I left the castle hall behind, I saw that Vasaraga and Vaughn hadn't gotten much of a head start on me. I ran to catch up to them, all the while wondering, does Vasaraga like pancakes? And as strange as it sounds, out of all the missions I'd wrapped up lately, I hadn't felt a greater sense of accomplishment than in that moment.
That is not what I expected out of that episode.
Yes, can I help you?
Episode 9, True Feelings. When Vaughn interferes in a battle against Magliel, Zeta gives him a scolding. Her harsh words leave him brooding, a sight that makes her heart ache, though Vasaraga then changes the mood. Meanwhile, she promises Magliel the tastiest sweets in all the Skydoms to make up for it. Oh, look at his face. Where is this story going?
After the showdown with Magliel, it was a while before I saw Vaughn again. Hey, little man. I was wondering when you were gonna pop in. How you holding up these days? His hair had grown out a bit since we last talked. I had no idea that much time had already passed. He seemed downcast, as if he had something heavy on his mind. Maybe I could get him to open up about it. Is there something you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, how should I put this? I like you, Zeta.
You've been saying that the whole time, little dude.
He was trying to keep his embarrassment at bay, but the way he fumbled his words betrayed his emotions. Thanks. Is that all you wanted to tell me?
Is that all you wanted to tell me?
No, there's more. I'm gonna get stronger. As strong as you and Vasaraga.
He had a deadly serious look in his eye. He must have thought long and hard about this. Is that so? Here was a side of Vaughn I had never seen before. More earnest. More mature. I felt a swell of pride as a smile crossed my face.
Yup. That's why I'm calling off all marriage proposals for now.
Oh? Why the sudden 180?
I just think it'd be better for us to stop seeing each other for a while.
Like, he's saying it like they were dating.
Huh.
It's going to be tough on me, too. But I think we both need time apart.
I did not see this coming. No, don't talk like that. I refuse to let anyone get the wrong idea about us.
But I can't marry you yet.
There wasn't gonna be a wedding anyway. My point is you and I were never.
I'm sorry, Zeta. It's not you. It's me.
But
Stop! Don't even think about saying another word. He wasn't listening to me anymore. He'd already written his own headcanon.
yeah, I like how she uses the word
But you
headcanon.
know what? It was sort of nice to be doted on. For what it's worth, I like to think I taught him a few life lessons, too. I'd forgotten what it was like to view the world through the innocent eyes of a child. Hanging out with Vaughn took me back to a simpler time. Thanks for jogging my memory, little man. Funny thing is, dwelling on the past isn't my style. Not at all. Living in the now is my MO. But one thing's for sure. I'll never forget the time I spent with Vaughn.
And then she never saw him ever again, and he was waiting for the rest of his life. Epilogue, The Right Spirit. After some time, Vaughn shows up to tell Zeta with a serious expression that he wants to call off his proposal. Zeta's confused by how the conversation sounds almost as if she was being dumped, but looks fondly back on her days with Vaughn, even the troublesome parts. The Right Spirit.
Dear Zeta, I'm doing well. How about you? Thanks to all the hours I put into sword practice, the dojo accepted me as a disciple. I'm on my way to becoming a man worthy of your hand. I'm sorry you have to wait, but someday, I'll take the stone you gave me to Fulka and have it made into a ring.
Oh my gosh.
Take care of yourself. Sincerely, Vaughn. P.S. I don't mind if you see other people if it's just a fling.
What? This kid.
You cheeky little brat. You just keep doing your thing, Vaughn. It's funny how you don't miss someone until they're gone. Regardless, I was happy to hear that Vaughn was doing well for himself. It's okay to see other people, huh? That's a good one. It's such a nice day today. The breeze was subtle, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Just as I was beginning to take in the morning calm, a lone figure appeared on the deck of the Grand Cipher.
Greetings, Zeta. Are you ready for the best pancakes of your life?
You better believe I was ready. Nothing gets between me and my dessert.
New ship, Zeta and Magliel.
Now let's just say when I arrive in Seed Hollow, and a certain lovelorn puppy dog comes sprinting over to propose to me, my answer to him would be, "In your dreams, little man. Today is my first day off in forever, and I'm gonna party it up."
Handmade pendant.
All right, see you.
A simple accessory gifted to Zeta by a young boy. While it won't win any awards for its craftsmanship, it was clearly made with care. It came with a letter, and the bottom, a postscript reads, "If you ever get lonely, just look at the pendant and think of me."
Come to view the requests?
Okay, thoughts on this Fate episode? Weird. Weird. Like, just weird. Like, yeah, they wrote Vaughn obviously as a little kid, so they made him kind of like cute and precocious to kind of make it, you know, less creepy. Like if they made him like a teenager or preteen, or like a, you know, like the Irun NPC males, it would just be creepy. But because they made him a kid, it's kind of like, oh, he's kind of precious. But also it's like, this is kind of a weird situation. And like, how much of it, like, he's obviously not joking. Like, if you take everything he says as like a joke, then it's like, oh, ha ha ha. But it's like, no, he's serious. And then she never properly like lets him down. So I don't really like the conclusion. It doesn't really end off with like a, like, I thought it might be kind of the thing, like, twist. He reveals that he actually just wanted to get her because his dad is dying from a disease and needed some powerful person to go slay some monster, and that's the only way he knew how to convince them. Or a direction like, oh, he realizes that the person that he thought Zeta was just a fabrication of his own mind and love at first sight, and he realizes that that's not the way that you should do things, and you should get to know a person better first before thinking about true love feelings. Like, that'd be like a good message, but it just kind of ends weird. So I was gonna give it a lower score. It's only safe by the fact that Magliel appears in it, even though she doesn't even appear in any of the images for this Fate episode, just because I like Magliel and we got to learn a new thing about her. But it's just weird, and it's just weird for Zeta too, because it's like, why her? Why are her Fate episodes like this? Her character has never been about proposals and marriage before, right? Like, it would make sense if it was like a different character, but why Zeta? Like, maybe it was just like, oh, we need to write a story that has to do with marriage and proposals, and she's the only one left, or that we haven't written a Fate episode for or something. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just, the ending especially is weird. He writes her the letter and tells her like that she can still see other people if it's only a fling, and then he gives her the pendant that says like, oh, if you ever feel lonely, think of me. It's just too weird. It's just leading off to like a bad ending in the future where she has to actually let him down and his heart's gonna get broken. Why? This is I'm just flabbergasted by what's going on here. Very strange. Very, very strange. And again, the Fate episodes felt like they were more about Vaughn than they were about Zeta. Kind of like how Lancelot's Fate episodes were more about that noble dude than it was about Lancelot. It's kind of the same energy I'm getting from that. And like, there were moments where it's like, okay, his dialogue's kind of cute, or like, you know, his voice actor, you know, acting like a kid, but also like trying to sound like sultry and and like flirty is kind of funny, but like if you sit there and really think about it and marinate on what's going on here, it's very weird. That's all I can really say. Okay, let's move on to Vasaraga. Let's see what he's up to. A Droth warrior who hunts primal beasts for the society. He gives the impression of being a terrifying monster, but he's a calm soul who kindly extends a hand to the weak. Like, I guess, like, if they were trying to use Vaughn and his, like, precociousness to, like, show part of her personality, they did not deliver what I think they were trying to deliver. There's either two directions they could have gone with it, I think. Have it end with, like, an actual life lesson, or make it go full comedy and just make it, like a sitcom thing that ends with a good laugh and everyone's having a good time. Just very strange. It's very, very strange. Prologue, The Real Mistake.
Foul smell fills the air as my dissolving limbs grow black.
Protect the captain! Get him somewhere safe!
No, leave me. Run.
As long as you're alive, we can rebuild. We promised, didn't we? Our lives are in your hands.
You're not allowed to make this sacrifice for me. Please, save yourselves. I'll never forget the memory of that day. My conceit put us in that mess, but I was the only one who made it. After all the good times we shared, after all the pain, they would have to live on in my memory. Once I could pick myself back up again, I began to temper my body. I swore I'd never let the same tragedy repeat itself. It wasn't long before this husk became resilient, augmented and conditioned to withstand even lightning. I no longer felt physical pain, or much of anything at all.
Also, now that I'm looking at Vasaraga, his armored boots have toes. So does each of his toes go into each of those? Like, how uncomfortable must be? It's like socks with toes, except worse because it's armor. I knew his armor always had like a talon design on the bottom of the foot, but I always thought it was just one big thing just stylized to look like talons. It almost looks like they were actually individual toes.
It was preferable that way. I could be a shield to protect others, to protect them from the same tragedy that befell my crew.
Yeah, these are important lore questions that we need to ask ourselves.
Having lost my place in the world, I found a home in the society, and quickly became contractor to the seal weapon, Great Scythe Grynoth. My missions were simple: hunt primal beasts or exterminate the foe. I did my job so that I could keep people safe, to aid them in their time of need. But despite my best efforts, I still failed. I was powerless when Vern was kidnapped right in front of me. Worst of all, I could do nothing but watch as our hopeful new recruit was cut down. What good was I when I couldn't even protect a single one of my comrades? Maybe the real mistake was believing I could do good in the first place.
Is his entire Fate episode just gonna be really edgy? Episode 1, Inescapable Pain. Vasaraga remade his own body after losing the crew he commanded. As part of the society, he devotes his days to hunting primal beasts and enemy organizations as a contractor with the seal weapon Grynoth. Whenever he encounters something he can't protect, he ponders his life's meaning. Inescapable Pain.
I joined the society to protect others, which sounds noble on paper. But in reality, it was all for my own sake. I'm the reason that my old crew, my family, found an early grave. It was only right that I spend the rest of my meager life in atonement. At least, that's the excuse I told myself. In truth, another part of me was deluded into thinking I could free myself from the guilt. But only if I could change into another person. Turns out that being immune to physical torture does nothing to protect your heart from psychological torment. Speaking of mental suffering, not long after I joined the society, Ilsa assigned Zeta as my partner. The old me would have worked with her just fine, but too much had changed. Her blunt honesty rubbed me the wrong way. A man can only take so much random commentary before he goes insane. Even Ilsa called her Pupper, which was kinder than what I had in mind back in those days. But it was an apt name, considering all of her barking.
I like how he says random commentary, like as if Zeta just goes around going like, fun fact, all the time.
I didn't care about forging a real partnership with Zeta. Every time we had a mission together, I just wanted to finish it as fast as possible. But it backfired. Whenever I pushed her away, she pushed back 10 times harder. She was determined to know me. I would have never admitted it out loud, but I was afraid. After all, the closer you are with someone, the harder it is to cope with their loss.
He keeps saying that, like, every time he tried to, distance himself, she just pushed back at him. But then in her Fate episode, she said that she didn't care to get to know him either. So which is it? Hey, Chio Cherry, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. Vasaraga joined the society, desiring a healthy reason to live, protecting others. His superior introduces him to Zeta, who at first he finds disagreeable for speaking her mind bluntly. But finding she snaps at him all the more when he's distant, he ponders how best to handle this. One blunt partner.
As for why I joined the captain's crew, well, I had my reasons. The captain's father was awaiting our crew in Estalucia, and that meant duking it out with primals and gathering sky map pieces along the way. The captain was strong and humble, had a knack for overcoming hardship. With leadership like that, I knew this crew could actually make it. That's not to say they were running a flawless operation. The way I saw it, they had 2 big problems. Vern and Lyria, the Red Dragon and the Girl in Blue. It's true they were core members of the crew, but they possessed powers which could represent grave consequences for the skies. Should one overflow with astral energy, or the other absorb enough primal power, they would be erased and herald the destruction of everything as we know it. It was possible the captain could reach Estalucia without any sacrifices, but I wasn't the type to bet on fate. These kids needed a shield. This body of mine would protect them all, no matter what came to pass. At least, that's what I intended. During the fight against the Moon Dwellers, I lost myself to the Atomagod Grinoth's power and raised my scythe against the crew.
Oh, they're actually going to talk about this. I mentioned earlier that, like, the Society and the Foe events eventually culminate in, like, them fighting against people from the moon, but I thought they would just kind of be coy and not really completely mention it in this game, since it is kind of a spoiler in the gacha game. But I guess they're just going to talk about this now. Does that mean that his Fate episodes in this game actually have to do with the Foe and the moon? Because that'd be kind of interesting, but I feel like they wouldn't do that.
As pathetic as it was, I became the very threat I swore to protect them from. That was why I prepared a way to stop my own heart. I wouldn't hurt my comrades again. If I couldn't protect anyone, then the least I could do was make sure I could do no more harm.
What are you playing at, Vasaraga? Is this your penance after what happened to Lester?
I was fine with sacrificing myself, as long as I could save someone else. A part of me even believed I deserved such a fate.
I hate when you act alone. You could have come to me for help first, We're partners, damn it!
I couldn't feel pain, but somewhere inside I felt like a wound had split me in 2. It took me far too long to realize that it hurt my comrades to see me suffering. That I had chosen to run instead of face my fears.
Did you hear me, you big lug? You're not gonna drop dead on us. Not on my watch.
My partner's instincts were sharp enough to cut right through me. But it was her words, honest and blunt, which shattered the walls around my cowardly heart. The pain I should have dealt with a long time ago came spilling out, but this time it was accompanied by a burning desire. We're going to survive this, together, and that's the way it's been ever since.
I mean, I guess they mentioned that because it's a big part of his character growth, but also they could have been more vague about who they were fighting. I'm just surprised that they name dropped it like that in a side spin-off game. Basaraga joins Kiro's crew. Knowing the harsh destiny that may await them, he vows to be their shield. But in a fight with the Moon Dwellers, he runs amok and bears fangs at an ally. Tormented by his intolerable mistake, he looks to sacrifice himself, but his partner Zeta stops him. Stroll through the woods.
Early in the morning, before the crew was to head out for a request, I headed to the forest surrounding Folka to conduct a test on Grinoth. On the way, I was stopped by the sight of a young girl watering the vegetable garden by her home, the wet plants sparkling beneath the morning sun. But something felt off about the scene. In contrast to the bright garden, a dark, foul mist seemed to surround the girl. Upon noticing me, she scrambled back into her house. The miasma clung to her as she fled. Sorry, lass. Shouldn't have snuck up on you like that. But that odd mist looked too real to be an illusion, and yet it didn't seem to be doing any harm. I decided to keep an eye out. After all, Folka was bustling with the influx of refugees from Tempio, and there was no telling what could happen in strange times such as these.
Okay, interesting. Episode 4, The Woman Who Pines for Death. While headed alone to the woods near Folka to give Grinoth a tune-up, Basaraga spots a girl with a strange aura in a vegetable garden. Startled by his bizarre appearance, the girl promptly hides in her house. Yet the black haze surrounding the girl weighs on his mind. The Woman Who Pines for Death.
Grinoth ripped through the silence of the forest. As I lowered the scythe, the quiet returned. It was a perfect place for tuning the weapon. At least, it would have been had I not sensed the presence of someone watching. Whoever it was, they had yet to strike, so I assumed they were no threat. Perhaps they were one of Folka's residents. I know you're there. State your business. Turning around, I saw the familiar face of the mist-shrouded girl.
That black armor. Your big scythe.
Her expression was blank, completely devoid of the cheer she had while watering her garden. Eventually, she spoke as tears welled in her eyes.
I'm tired, Mr. Reaper. You can take me away now.
The floodgates broke, a steady stream cascading down her cheeks. Mr. Reaper? What are you talking about?
I only wanted to grow those little ones, but everything I do hurts them. They all rot away. All I do is cause pain.
The girl hung her head and grew silent. It was obvious she had given up on life. It was a feeling I was all too familiar with. Once you've steeled yourself for death, you start thinking there's no other way out. But before I could console her, a monster appeared from the brush and leapt at the girl. I felled it in a single blow, but she gasped at the grisly sight. Fear appeared in her eyes. Good. If she could still fear death, then she wasn't too far gone. Sorry to disappoint, but I'm no Reaper. Most I can manage is to bring you safely home. You'd rather not be monster kibble, right? Need to gather your thoughts? I get it. Life rarely gives us obvious choices.
Okay.
Keep close. Maybe it was just a trick of the light, but I saw a bit of life return to her gaze. I took a step back toward the village, ready to prove I was no Reaper of the afterlife. Time to go home. Should be this way.
Oh, they added the Moon Dwellers to the glossary.
That didn't feel like an earthquake to me. Paths blocked by a boulder.
Weird. It wasn't here before.
Let's look around. Someone's hungry. Stand back. I'll take care of it. You can't stop fear! Proceeding with caution. Step up.
You should run.
I'll cut you all.
I like how he just went straight
Said
to
I'd
break.
bring you home. Besides, I've faced worse than this before. Come if you dare. Roger, I'll observe for now. Battalion.
You actually defeated that huge beast by yourself.
Good, you're not hurt. Now, what do we do about that boulder?
I know another way back. It'll take longer, but
Fine by me. You take the lead.
It's weird having like you're technically being followed by an NPC, but they're not actually here, so you just get like a disembodied voice leading you with the waymarks. Surely you could break the boulder, Vasraga. I know
I feel eyes on us. We're not alone.
you're strong enough. Well, you can just climb over it. I'm just saying.
zombies!
I've got them. That's that. Ready to go.
Yeah.
I also like how zombies are just a regular everyday occurrence. It's like, oh look, there's zombies in the wood again.
What is that?
It's like a gobby.
You look exactly like a reaper.
I guess I'm no
Oh, that's not
slouch
Goblin.
at sight. You're dead! Step up! I'll cut you all down! Get so. What's this whole
stuck in the
obsession
slow.
with death about?
Oh, I forgot he does that attack.
You don't have to answer, but just remember, once you die, that's it. Don't be so hasty to throw your life away.
Are you sure you aren't a reaper?
Even if I was, it's not your time yet. Not today. Upon arriving at the girl's home, I was met by a shocking sight. The thriving garden I'd seen before was now gray and withered, its fruits and vegetables rotting away. How could all the life have been sucked from this place in such a short span of time? When I looked at the girl, she purposefully avoided my gaze. I decided against questioning her for the moment. Whatever's going on, I might be able to help, but we can talk about that later. You should rest.
Okay.
She took an unsteady step through the door of her home. As I watched her go, I felt eyes on the back of my head. But when I turned around, no one was to be found. Yeah, I doubt I imagined that. I spent a few moments scanning the perimeter, but soon found nothing of concern. I decided to call it a day.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, can I help you?
Episode 5, The Weight of Life. Vasraga escorts the girl home, clearing up her misunderstanding of him as the Grim Reaper. Yet the garden she was tending to has been devastated since he saw it last, as if swallowed up by decay. In consideration for the haggard girl, he promises to come back later, but senses someone's gaze. The Weight of Life.
Curious about the girl and her garden, I headed once more toward the forest on the outskirts of Folka.
I never had a chance to thank you for the other day.
Though she was more lively than before, her spirit was clearly drained.
I guess it feels wrong to call you Mr. Reaper now.
The name's Vasaraga. The girl introduced herself as Irene. As she spoke, I noticed her wrist was wrapped in a bandage. I asked if she was injured, but this caused her to grimace.
Oh, this? It's fine. I just, cut myself is all.
In a thinly veiled attempt to change the subject, Irene offered me some juice made from homegrown fruit.
This is the least I can do to thank you. Do you want to drink some together?
Apple. Not bad. We sat at her table and began to chat. She told me that she hailed from Grossgard, a small region near Seed Hollow. Having just moved to Folka, she was still a new face to the locals.
Well, that's the same place where that NPC from Lancelot's Fate episodes was from.
Do you take care of the garden by yourself?
Yes.
Tense. Holding in on herself like a withering flower, she became the complete opposite of the girl I watched happily watering her plants. But it was not her forlorn expression that gripped me. It was the mist. Ever her formless companion, a swirling miasma seemed just beyond her perception. There were far worse things in the skies than a little smoke, but I knew this was more than it seemed. Mind if I stop by again? I could visit between requests. I wanted to help her, but not out of a misguided sense of obligation. I just wanted to make sure she never forgot what it was like to smile.
Troubled by the decayed garden and the girl's condition, Vasaraga returns to the woods. He learns that the girl Irene tends to the garden in the woods alone. When asked about her bandaged wrist, she claims it's just a small injury, and it seems she is unaware of the black haze he saw hanging about her. Irene's nightmare.
Wow, these vegetables are very unique. Yes, unique.
I brought Vern and Lyria with me in hopes of lifting Irene's spirits.
How do you make a tomato look like a shriveled bone? That's talent, I guess.
They're like unintentionally roasting her.
Vern was, for better or worse, brutally honest. Now who did that remind me of?
Vern, don't be rude.
It's fine, Lyria. He's not wrong.
Though she had every right to be offended, Irene took the comment in stride. Our two most carefree members of the crew seemed to be rubbing off on her. Guess it was the right call to bring them. I'm not the best at brightening the mood.
So Vasaraga told us about your plants. You want them to grow big and healthy, but they keep withering, right?
Yes.
After a moment of silence, Lyria gave Irene a sympathetic smile, encouraging the girl to divulge her feelings. She began to perk up. Guess Zeta was right. It really is easier to share your worries with someone closer to your age.
Taking care of those little ones is my purpose in life.
She went on to recount how she had always been a loner. From a young age, her only friends were the plants she cared for. Recently, she had discovered that she could hear her plants talk, though she had no idea how or why.
Oh, I just, started hearing voices from my plants. No big deal.
But now, it's like my precious friends are fading away, one by one. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
Not long after she had gained the ability to communicate with her cherished plants, they suddenly began to wither and die one after another. She could hear them wail in agony as they reached their end. It was no surprise that she soon reached her breaking point.
A few are still alive, but I'm sure they'll join the others in no time. If this is all that's waiting for me in the future, then I would rather not live to see it.
Watching the lives of your loved ones slip out of your fingers? I could relate to that. What was she supposed to do? Distance herself from her reason for living? Wasn't that as good as dying? I eyed the black mist. Look, there's gotta be a way to fix things.
What? But I've tried everything.
Squeezing her bandaged wrist, Irene looked up at me in confusion. I did my best to reassure her without betraying the worry gnawing at my mind.
I mean, it's kind of a weird sounding situation, but obviously we're living in a fantasy world. And they're probably using plants because if these were humans, then the story would be a little bit too depressing. Basaraga brings Vern and Lyria to the garden to cheer up Irene. Encouraged to open up, Irene tells them her story. Never good with people, she liked caring for plants and recently began hearing their voices. But this was a short-lived joy, as they suddenly withered for some reason, leaving Irene in despair. Remnants of Salvation.
What happened here? I had stopped by Irene's garden after finishing our quest, only to find every single leaf and stem had turned black and rotted. It felt unnatural, like something had completely sucked the life from what should have been a thriving patch of greenery. Filled with dread, I rushed inside the house, but Irene was nowhere in sight. It was then that I noticed a letter on the floor.
To the blasphemer who betrayed Avia, you should know that Lady Lilith wished to bathe the skies in destruction.
Oh, she's a former Aviath.
Have you not yet realized that clinging to life is folly? That living is a sacrilege to all we preach? You have two choices before you. Watch as that forbidden implement spreads darkness to all those innocent folk living around you. Or return to Avia and repent.
So Irene had ties to the Church of Avia, and they'd fitted her with some sort of cruel device. Reminded me of Lyria and the Mind Sealer. If they had hurt Irene like they hurt Lyria... Damn. Thought I'd finally dealt with this pain. But there I was, failing to protect yet another innocent life. Brooding on it for too long wasn't going to bring Irene back, so I left the house and scoured the town. Avia always had a flair for drama, but I detected no commotion in town. Which means, bastards snuck away in a ship. Knowing there were precious few minutes to trail them, I rushed to the port.
Episode 8, Vestiges. After a job, Basaraga visits Irene's garden to find every flower and plant wilted. Running inside the house, he finds a letter on the floor, a message to Irene from Avia missionaries aiming to convert her. Troubled by the mention of magic items, and with no time to think, he pursues the remnant missionaries. Good, I get my party members this time. Even though we're all, like, not geared. Vestiges.
The captain, who saw me rushing to the port, joined me in the chase. Sierra Carte, who was always in the right place at the right time, heard a rumor about an Aviath battleship sighting. We took after them immediately, driving the Grand Cipher as hard as we could to close the distance. Found you. After we crested a cloud bank, their ship came into view. In a contest of speed, a mere battleship was no match for the Grand Cipher. We soon pulled alongside our quarry and boarded their vessel.
I assume you're the draft that's been stalking our new shaman?
Oh, they want her to be their next Lyria.
Let Irene go.
I'm afraid that's out of the question.
The tension in the air grew palpable.
That device she wears incinerates life. For now, the dark flame only affects plants. But with a little more time, the shaman will consume all life in Zega Grande. Lady Lilith will have her salvation, one way or another.
You call that salvation? Maybe these fools didn't understand Lilith's true goals. Or maybe they were just bending the truth to satisfy their own cruel desires. Regardless, they were hazards that needed to be taken care of.
She shows remarkable compatibility with the dark flame. We will use her to fulfill Lady Lilith's wishes once and for all.
At the expense of Irene and this skydom? Not on my watch. It's time someone put your schemes to rest. Grinoth, did you hear that? We've got work to do. Lend me your strength. Take them, Grinoth.
I offer my life for Lady Lilith!
For Lady Lilith!
These guys never know when to quit.
Call for reinforcements.
We stop them here!
There's no end to them!
Where are they? Oh, hi.
You pull up
Oh, I'm supposed to do this.
We need to board and find Irene.
Oh, I can't use the cannon.
Kid is getting kidnapped on our watch.
3, 4.
Yoda, there's no one there. Hey Aru, welcome to the stream. I thought maybe I could use the cannons, but they're not functional.
Try not to blink.
I can't even kill the enemies in time, I'm too slow.
Rack 'em! Do it!
I'm on it already. Come on, Grand Cypher. Hang in there.
Thanks for the ride. I'll handle the let Irene go.
The shaman shall be our salvation. Defend her to the end.
Beat them back. Nice teamwork.
Now I'm fired up.
I'm so slow.
Let's school ya. Who else is feeling refreshed?
You got it.
Oh, this thing doesn't even have an HP bar this time.
With fury.
That was awesome, big guy!
Careful, more are coming.
It's too late to beg for mercy now, outsiders!
Our salvation will be as Lady Lilith foretold.
You even know what Irene wishes for?
What would you know? The shaman has a duty to embody Lady Lilith's teachings.
Guess we gotta knock some sense into them the hard way! Infinite wonder!
You can't stop fear!
No running for me. Testing your land.
Don't let them escape!
Sorry, Lady Lilith. Accursed outsiders.
That guy actually had
Did you
a name
for me?
You're safe now. Let's get you home.
on top of his enemy model, not in the dialogue.
By the time we carried Irene back to the Grand Cipher, half of her body was shrouded in the dark mist. A sinister-looking device was clamped around her wrist, where the bandage had slipped off.
I don't advise using force to break it. That would put Lyria's life in danger.
I remembered what Roland said back on Mount Nagelith. Removing one of these implements by force could cost Irene her life, but there was no time to search for another method.
Asaraka, I'm sorry. I've caused you trouble again.
Irene weakly apologized, barely conscious.
It's okay. You can break the bracelet. My life is in your hands.
As long as you're alive, we can rebuild. We promised, didn't we? Our lives are in your hands.
I clenched Grinoth tighter. Irene had already accepted her end, but I swore to protect them. I swore to protect them all! With my heartbeat thundering in my ears, I focused my entire being on the device. Grinoth and I became one as I swung down. We cut through the dark mist, and a burst of blinding light swallowed everything.
I'm surprised that Zeta's not playing a bigger role in his Fate episodes, because he played a role in hers.
Hello there.
Again, this story doesn't really lend itself to having her around too, I guess. Episode 9, Fresh Verdure. Basaraga saves Irene from the Avia battleship, and seeing the magic item on her arm recalls the incident with Lyria. Forcibly destroying it could mean the loss of her life as well. With no time to search for other options, driven by Irene's words, Vasaraga swings down Grinoth with a purpose. Fresh Verdure.
After some time had passed, I stopped by Irene's home while out on a request. Well, well. A comforting and familiar sight greeted me. The garden was bursting with vegetation, much like the first time I saw it.
Asaraka!
Standing amidst the greenery, Irene waved at me with a smile. I should apologize. You can't hear your friends anymore because of what I did. She shook her head, her smile still present.
No, I shouldn't have let the church tempt me like that. I'm sorry for dragging you and your crew into my mess.
A hint of sorrow graced her features.
I can't hear these little ones anymore, that's true. But I can still tell what they want to say.
Is that right?
Yeah. Sometimes your heart just knows these things.
She turned to look up at the sky, a few tears sliding past her smile.
Like how I knew to reach out to you, even if I thought you were the Reaper. Thank you for saving me, Vasaraga.
Anyone would have done the same. With a careful shuffle, I turned away. A dainty garden was no place for an armor-clad warrior to stomp about. I'll see you around, Irene. I took one last look at the vibrant garden before heading back to the ship.
Epilogue: Vibrant Harvest. Sometime later, Vasaraga finds Irene's garden revived, filled with vivid flowers and bountiful vegetables. He apologizes for her loss of the power to hear plants, but she apologizes back, blaming herself for going along with Avia. After hearing her speak, he returns to the ship with scarcely another word. That apple looks so realistic.
The morning had barely begun when Zeta came barreling over with a package addressed to me. It was stuffed full of fruit, which only confused her further.
Oh, maybe he used this fruit to make the fruit sandwiches for her Fate episode.
Huh? Aren't these Volca gold fruit? Lucky man. I heard their produce is all the rage these days.
Wait, no, never mind, because he said he bought it, unless that was a lie, but then the Fate summary said that he made it. What am I to believe?
Whoops. Guess I hadn't told Zeta about Irene and her garden yet. Looks like the pantry is full. Help me carry these back to my room.
Sure, but this is kind of a lot for a midnight snack.
I figure being surrounded by a little more nature couldn't hurt.
Didn't take you for the crunchy type. Gonna grow your own orchard or what?
Crunchy type.
She was joking, but honestly, it didn't sound like such a bad idea. Ever had fresh apple juice before? I'll make you some, as thanks for helping me carry everything.
Wait a minute. You never put this much effort into treating me. Is this a trap?
A skilled gardener taught me a trick or two. Never hurts to practice a new recipe. The vibrant fruit told me how well Irene was doing, much better than any letter could. Offering her garden a silent word of thanks, I was ready to enjoy its generous harvest.
Volca Goldfruit.
Alright, see you.
Oh, the Moon Dweller's entry. Volca Goldfruit. This freshly picked apple gifted to Vasaraga grew in a garden he helped to save. Apples endemic to Volca were crossbred with a species from Grossgard, famous for its use in apple wine to create this delectable variant. They require a deft hand to grow, but the luster and flavor in the end is well worth the effort.
Hello there.
Okay. That was an okay set of Fate episodes. It had some intrigue to it. It had some reflection of Vasaraga's personality and character in it. And it also had an interesting connection to the main story with the shaman thing, so maybe I'll give it like a 6. 6 out of 10, I think. So now we're on to Yoda, and I already kind of explained about Yoda at the beginning of the stream. A laid-back, jolly old fisherman who's content with passing his days atop his mountain home. He was once a famed swordsman with many pupils, but that was a long time ago. Prologue: The Phantasmagoric Fencer.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a lone swordsman famed for his two-sword style. He became a legend after fighting over 10,000 battles, and the mere sound of his name struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. Whenever he appeared in town, ne'er-do-wells were said to scramble away like spiders fleeing the light.
prospective fighters began to seek out the swordsman, and thus he gained quite the following of disciples. Amongst them, some were so strong they could crush warships with a single strike. One could do worse when choosing students of the martial arts. So the master abandoned the battlefield for the mountains, where he could train his beloved disciples in peace. There was one disciple who quickly stood leagues above the rest. It took her only a matter of days to master the most complicated techniques. She grew at an astonishing rate into one of the most powerful fighters the master had ever seen. But more impressive than her wits or her aptitude was the strength of her conviction. Every day the top disciple begged for harder training, and the master was willing to reward her passion with the very depths of his knowledge. And that's why. Why? Oh, skies help me. That's why when the master found out his top disciple had betrayed him, he was filled with anguish. She went rogue, forcing some of the other disciples to do her bidding. Eventually, the master caught up with her, and they fought a deadly battle. When the dust settled, the top disciple's sword arm hung limp and unusable. It was a bittersweet victory, as the master knew what must come next. He readied his blade, preparing to release her to the afterlife. But he couldn't force himself to make the cut. Not after all he had poured into this girl. Not after failing her so. Thus, he laid down his weapon and promised to live his remaining days in penance and regret. Oh, how our good intentions cloud even the most prescient vision. Having thrown away his name, his blade, and his path, he set out back into the world. But this time, swearing no one would suffer from his tutelage again.
Okay, they told more of his past than I thought. Because when we first meet Yoda in the mobile game, it's very early in the mobile game's days, he mentions his disciple, but then we don't see that disciple for years. Like, it's like everyone kind of thought it was like a forgotten plot point, or it's like something they didn't get around to doing. And then it suddenly came out like years and years later that disciple was connected to the society events out of nowhere, which is how Yoda was involved in that one event. But let's see how much they actually explain about it. I'm just kind of curious. There was once a world-renowned swordsman who trained scores of disciples. On one fateful day, his top student betrayed his principles of swordsmanship and went rogue. He tracked her down and wounded her in a duel, but couldn't bring himself to deliver the final blow. He discarded his title and prestige, his very past, and vanished from society. Life without focus.
Time passed, and the swordsman found himself atop a different mountain, where he learned he had a knack for fishing. Suited him just fine. Bass for breakfast, salmon for supper, and naps in between. Yep, it suited him just fine. It was the quiet, healing life of a hermit. Sometimes, when he needed supplies, he would go down to the village and train the locals in a little sword work. That made his coin purse jingle again.
Wait, I thought you said the whole reason you isolated yourself was so that you would stop teaching people so they wouldn't suffer from your tutelage.
But this peace wasn't to last for the swordsman. He discovered his top disciple was back to her wicked ways, and, sword in hand, he vowed to conclude her story for good. This was his true purpose for traveling with the crew. Though the young captain never suspected the little Harvan fisherman was harboring such a dark secret.
Oh, so I guess are they gonna tell the story of like the conclusion of him as disciple here? I'm just surprised. The former master swordsman lives as a recluse in the mountains, fishing the days away. When word reaches him his fallen disciple is causing trouble again, he joins Kiro's crew for the chance to stop her. I wonder if they're even gonna name drop the disciple here. It was a little bit of a shock when we found out in the mobile game.
The former disciple's latest victim had been a simple man from a remote mountain area, cut down, somehow without the use of her sword. A real shame that. One more innocent life lost before its time. The swordsman asked the crew to make haste to the village. When he saw the murdered man's corpse, such was the carnage that he could barely keep from averting his eyes. It was his weakness, his cowardice, that cost this poor man's life. But this time, instead of wallowing in pity, he would don his white uniform of old and atone.
So the newer version of Yoda, which is a wind character, has a white outfit, which is, I think his color palette 8 references it in this game.
He called it his burial garb, and it represented his fearlessness on the battlefield. If he were dressed to meet death face to face, what more could his foes do to intimidate him? Of course, his crewmates tried to reason with him, concerned he might throw his life away to make up for the wrongdoing of another. But the Swordmaster was determined. He had vowed to stop his former disciple, whatever risk that entailed. So, when finally the moment of reckoning had come, the Master gripped his blade, ready to strike down his favored pupil. Before he could do the deed, however, his resolve crumbled. His emotions were too strong, dulling his senses and causing him to lose the match. The Master's former youngest disciple, with his 2 newest pupils watching from the sidelines, rushed to aid him. Ironically, it was the youngest disciple who struck down the fiend in place of the Master. The swordsman was lost in grief, but his newfound champion told him this was for the best. After all, such an old life deserved the rest of its days to be spent in peace.
Oh, it just kind of concludes it there. Okay, interesting. Still kind of leaving it vague for people that haven't played the mobile game, so it's a little bit of a surprise for them still. Hey Kieran, welcome in. Thank you so much for the stretch, I really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well today. Welcome home. The Swordmaster's mercy has inadvertently resulted in more innocent deaths at the hands of the disciple he couldn't kill. This time he is hell-bent on finishing what he started and dons his burial garb. However, his resolve crumbles again at the last moment. Another young disciple he once trained is the one to end the fated feud. Adrift.
After joining up with the crew, I've had some helter-skelter days, let me tell you. So when we arrived in Zega Grande, I knew I needed to get myself some fishing done. Reset the old noggin, found a nice quiet pond and dropped my line. Bless me taters, must have been hours past with no bite. Finally, I decided to pull up my rod and check if the bait was still hardy. But there weren't no bait, no hook, and no fish. Only a lonely little bobber remained on the line. Right, well, what about me traps? I was halfway through the search when I realized, blast, I left them in the lodge. What a day, what a day. But it was too late in the noon to go back for them, and I had other business to attend to, like getting back to the pond and staring out at the clear water. In that moment of stillness, the fishies swam out of their hiding spots. There were big ones and little ones, and the whole school of them reminded me of my teaching days. Each of my disciples was unique in their own right. Had me some slow learners and some fast ones, some goody two-shoes and some real punks. I learned me some good lessons from those kids. My top student, Grace, never wavered in her particular sense of justice, and her commitment to her training was ironclad. What a waste.
What? So they went through three Fate episodes plus the prologue of not name-dropping this disciple, and then he just name-drops it after the fact?
Range, my youngest pupil, lost his way for decades after leaving my tutelage, but he ended up killing Grace in my stead. He was selfless, thinking only of his master. They say the master extracts potential from the student, but I fear I've ruined more young lives than I've helped. Makes a fisherman wonder how they all would have turned out had he just kept well enough to himself. I turned Grace into a monster. Not a day goes by I don't regret honing her skills. Unfortunately, she had the gift and the gumption to go far, and I exhausted all my knowledge on her. If only I had focused more on the why of my teachings rather than the what. Huh? I swore I felt a nibble at my rod, but when I pulled it up, there was nothing to be found. That's when I remembered I still hadn't hooked or baited the line. That was odd. I was getting antsy. Maybe it was because I forgot the traps, but I couldn't relax just sitting there anymore. I decided to pack up and head back into town. You see, the mind is like a creek. You want to keep it healthy. You gotta keep the waters from stagnating. But sharing them too much, and you risk losing all your fish. I decided to head to Sierra's shack and replace some fishing gear, hopefully restoring my brain pond in the process. But just as I was dipping my toes into the placid waters of the lures and bait, I heard a rustle from behind, and to my surprise, they were my crewmates, picking up a package. Said they were bored at the inn, and asked if they could come fishing with me. Youngsters so bored they wanted to go fishing? First time for everything, huh? While I was hammering out the finer points of fly casting with the captain, Sierra Carte piped up. Said she'd come across a pretty tasty rumor.
Yep, apparently there's a legendary fisherman in the Skydom that people have started calling the Fisher God.
I'd heard rumors like this one before, and they always stank like fish guts. Catching 10 fish with one cast, netting a whole consortium of crabs. By yourself? Gah! If I had a fin for every story like this, I'd be a pretty scary sea monster by now. Then again, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't intrigued. There's a scale of truth to every story. So there must be a reason they call this person the Fisher God. Guess you might say my interest was piqued. Because if this fellow were half as good as me, he'd make a mighty fine rival. And maybe that's just what I needed.
Okay, interesting premise, okay. Episode 4, The Hottest Fishing Spot. Yudahara looks forward to a casual day of fishing in unfamiliar waters of the new Skydom. Unfortunately, it seems his gear isn't up to par. Paying a visit to Shiro Carte to upgrade his tackle, the merchant mentions a rumor about an expert angler called the Fisher God. And we'll do this without sigils, we'll be fine. Hottest fishing spot.
After some consideration, I decided I would test my mettle against this so-called Fisher God. The captain, Lyria, and Varen wanted to help out too. I asked around town where I might find such a rival, but he proved to be as mythical as his title suggested. Rumor had it that he appeared at ponds, peaks, and valleys. The others garnered about the same information, which only further piqued my interest. No matter who we asked, we could not catch the proverbial tail of the Fisher God. All we learned was that he was skilled, able to catch 10 fish with one cast, yada yada, and any new species he caught would be named after him, meaning there were lots of little demigods swimming around now. With only tales of his escapades to feed us, and no concrete info, we grew weary. You can't sustain a healthy rivalry on rumor, after all. We needed to change our approach and re-examine the facts.
What if the Fisher God ends up just to be Gandagoza?
All of the stories were about places he visited, meaning he'd never been spotted in town. With that in mind, we enlisted Sierra Carte to speed up the investigation. Sure enough, after a few days' time, she gave us a map dotted like it had the chickenpox. There were stamps on ponds and lakes, glaciers and volcanoes, and even a poisonous swamp. All of them locations where he'd been spotted.
That means that there were other people at these volcanoes and poisonous swamps to spot him with.
So the old fart got around, did he? Good to know he had an adventurous streak. After staring at the map for a while, I realized there was one place conspicuously without a stamp. It was the most dangerous island of all, known for the molten lava covering its surface.
Yeah, what if Gandagoza is just hiding in the background of all these pictures?
Going off my hunch, Sierra Carte did a little more digging around, and we learned a man with a fishing rod chartered a ship there a few days ago. The chase was on.
We're gonna find him in Fondom?
Move it or lose it, folks.
Look at how tiny he is
Fisher God?
compared to Vasaraga. I love Yoda's ninja run. I love the fact that he ninja runs.
make the spirits of this land?
No place to hide. Infinite wonder!
Battalions of fear!
Astraga's like blocking my screen.
Are you really gonna fish in a dangerous place like this?
Of course! We're not dealing with your average angler here. This is a fisher god we're after now. He's here to let us find your traps or something. Keep your eyes peeled for him.
Okay, but we better be careful while we surf.
Back at him!
I'll cut you all down!
Ah! Don't scare me like that!
Now, if I were a fisher god, this is probably the bait I'd use. Just a hunch, though. Careful now! Those spirits look angry!
Those are the ones that explode if you beat them too hard.
No running for me! It's curse for you!
You can't stop me!
Now you're in the deep end!
Shut you up!
Try and stop me!
Basaraga, I can't see myself.
We've come pretty far. This keeps killing me.
Just a matter of time before we're there. Now hop to it.
Also, Basaraga, you're dying.
Huh?
Your HP is very low.
Somebody came through here, and they were collecting magma worms.
Whoa! I see somebody. Maybe it's the fisher god.
Very well could be. Give him a hello and see what's up.
It's the old man generic NPC.
Hey there. Can we talk a minute?
The hottest fishing spot. Literally the hottest.
Hey, mister. What the heck are you doing out here?
What's it look like? I'm fishing.
What fish? You might catch a few rocks if anything at all.
We fish, therefore they are. It's the deepest waters what hide the greatest prizes.
The proverb left his lips like a right prophet. This had to be our fisher god.
I still don't get how fish could survive in lava.
And that's your problem.
That's your problem.
His answer was cryptic, but it had its own logic. The captain, Lyria, and Vern cocked their heads to the side in confusion. Clear water or molten rock? Cast the rod and catch the fish.
Truer words were never spoken, friend.
Guess I've learned me something over the years. Those unblinking eyes, that unrelenting hunger for the catch. His tools were top-notch. More importantly, however, he had the aura of a man born to hunt the seas. But I didn't come to admire him. May we presume you are the fisher god?
And to what do I owe the accusation?
What do you say to a little fish-off betwixt the two of us?
Ah, now there's a song to my ears. It would be my honor.
And thus, the net was cast.
All right. We've got lunch special. Good food, good.
Come to view the request?
Episode 5, Clash of Titans. An elderly gent stands on a ridge overlooking a sea of lava, his line cast into the fiery waves. When Vern expresses doubt he'll catch anything besides rocks, the man calmly answers with cryptic fishing adages. This is proof enough for Yodarha that the man is the fisher god. Oh, they're gonna do their fish off right here, right now.
We fish, therefore they are. It was a profound statement. Hang your line thinking you won't catch anything, and you won't notice even the heftiest bite. Determination was the most essential tool in the old tackle box. But then again, we were sat up next to a lava lake, and I would need more than simple chutzpah to pull a fish out of there. Luckily, I had me secret weapons.
Someone came prepared.
Beautiful, ain't they? I I strung a special hook, carved from a flame worm's tooth, to a special line, spun from its mane. Been looking forward to the day I could bust out these bad boys.
They did a good job capturing Yoda's laugh in the English version, because it's very similar to his Japanese one, but more natural for an English dialogue.
Whoa, you're really going to do this?
The captain, Vern, and Lyria were stunned as I cast my rod into the lava.
Just what the heck are you old-timers expecting to catch?
Vern's voice was filled with confusion, but wasn't a moment longer when we made a believer out of him. Oh, a bite!
Me too!
The fisher god and I started pulling up catch after catch. It seemed like we both brought determination to spare.
They never outline the rules of this competition, though. It's not first to a catch, it's like how many people can catch in a certain amount of time or something like that, I assume?
But the fish living inside the lava weren't no slouches neither. They were covered in armor like scales, and when we pulled them ashore, their flopping sent liquid death flying in every direction. Was kind of funny.
It was kind of funny. They were just shooting lava all over the place, you know, no big deal.
So there we were, equally matched, neither side willing to back down. As our piles of molten fish gradually turned to hills, the captain, Lyria, and Vern were dumbstruck. Soon enough, our swordbacks told us it was time for a gentleman's break, and we decided to tally our scores. We counted each fish as we threw them back into the lava. Their physiology meant they couldn't be cooked. Don't want no sulfur in my sushi anyway. But they sprang back alive as soon as they were returned to their familiar warmth.
Should've known you'd be a shark on the rod.
Just trying to keep up. It was a rare thing to meet your match. The smiles on our faces were proof of that. Vern flew up to us.
Do all old dudes fish like that? If you went for broke, I wonder who would come out on top.
The fisher god and I locked eyes. We could feel the sparks flying.
Sounds like the gauntlet's been thrown.
Agreed. We've had enough of a warm-up.
Then you won't mind if we up the ante, huh?
He told us about a few local legendary fish that had eluded capture for years. Reminded me of the noble bonito from good old Fanta Grande.
Yes, the bonito. We need the bonito as a raid.
We agreed the winner would be the first to trap one of them fabled guppies. The prospect sent lightning through me body. The old spark was coming back.
Episode 6, Legendary Fish. Yodahara and the Fisher God are evenly matched, reeling in fish after fish from the lava flow. A casual comment from Vern, who's the better fisherman, ignites the spirit of competition in the two masters. The Fisher God mentions that elusive legendary fish appear periodically in Sega Grande. Whoever catches one first is the winner. Legendary Fish.
Now I just had to track me down a living, swimming myth. Couldn't be that many lakes harboring legends, right? Turns out there were few eyewitness accounts of such fish. Guess they didn't like flashing their scales as much as the Fisher God. But I knew they had to exist. Why would he make up the challenge? So back to Sierra we went. She kindly asked the Fishermen's Guild and scholars to lend their assistance. They told us of a potential target. A beautiful fish, said to have the loveliest iridescent scales in the world. But it had never been caught, so it had yet to receive a proper name within academia.
It's gonna be called the Yoda fish when he catches it.
As if to tempt me more, we learned the locals called it the jewel fin. Catching it would be like grabbing a cloud, but the more I heard, the more I needed it. Surely it was a fool's errand. Too bad I was beside myself with determination. A being that existed somewhere between reality and rumor, I had to catch me some of that. Thus, in the coming days, whenever I found a semi-reliable lead, I would fly to the spot and cast my line. Went to salt lakes where a sip of the water would dry you to the bone. Wandered around underground streams where you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And then every place in between. The captain, Lyria, and Vern accompanied me on my flights of fancy. But they grew tired of the pace. I wouldn't force them. I had planned to make the trip alone anyhow. All I wanted to do was find the unfindable. to catch the uncatchable. It was a good sign, honestly. They say anticipation exists right before accomplishment. Take a new sword technique. You only perfect it the day before a duel. A consequence of pre-battle nerves sending your noggin into overdrive. And this fish-off was a duel to the death for me and the Fisher God. It would be the accomplishment of the century for any who live by the rod. I was having the time of my life, but I knew I didn't have forever. We were in this skydom for a reason, and that mission had to take precedence. I decided my next search would be the last. It brought me to a labyrinthine jungle, which had claimed many adventurers in the past. I heard that somewhere inside was a spring turned monster den. One look at its bewitching twinkle would be enough to drive a man mad, and he'd throw himself into the pool to be swallowed. Relying on those exaggerated claims for guidance, I braved the forested depths to discover not a glorious spring, but a regular old bog. Ugh, ain't no legendary fish ever lived in a place like that. But still, I cast my rod, and Vern and the captain waited with bated breath as they watched me bobber-a-bobbin'. The swamp remained quiet. I was neither overcome with anticipation nor bored from inaction. I was part of the stillness, and my rod was my connection to it. I was one with nature and leaping liverfish a bite.
Leaping liverfish.
I tugged the fish to the surface and began to tear up as the most perfect, lustrous twinkle broke the murky waters. Turns out none of the scholars' descriptions were quite right. But this was it. This was the jewel fin of legend.
See, though, I know it's just like a legendary fish that, you know, they've made up, but, you know, they keep talking about, like, people have seen this fish, apparently, but no one's caught it. But yet, how could he get so many leads to so many weird, obscure ponds where it could be? How does this fish clearly isn't able to travel between all these, the underground pond and the salty lake and the monster den lake. Whatever, I guess. Episode 7, Evenly Matched. Before Yodaha can catch a legendary fish, he needs to learn more about it. He speaks with as many knowledgeable people as he can, but his search yields little results. Just when it looks like he's about to run out of time, he gets a bite. Evenly Matched.
How's this for a catch? I proudly displayed the jewel fin before the Fisher God. Its scales glistened in iridescent waves, unreal in their beauty. Its fins ethereal and transparent, waved as if kissed by a breeze. That old coot was flabbergasted.
I hope you're keeping this fish alive in like a big bucket of water or something like that, because if it's so rare, and you catch it and just, I don't know, eat it or something like that, then it's a complete loss to science.
Slap my behind! Where in the seven skies did you find this?
That was a delicious reaction. But of course, the Fisher God was a fisherman of taste, and he had a rebuttal prepared. It was a large fish, obsidian in color, whose scales seemed to drink the light like a void. Its dorsal was strong and stiff, as if to mark it as a sea king.
Whoa! 2 legendary fish? Isn't that nuts?
I hope you guys time-stamped when you caught it so we can figure out who was the winner.
Both of our catches fit the criteria of the competition. It was gonna be too hard to call. Guess we couldn't complain, though. Not every day we got to see such rare specimens. Still, something had to be done. So we turned to Lyria, Vern, and the captain.
I think both are amazing. I've never seen such pretty fish. Can't we just say you're both incredible and be done with it?
Guess 2 legendary fish don't make a champion. Especially when we were both set on wearing the crown. Nope, it didn't sit right with me. Our rivalry pushed the craft of fishing forward, hadn't it? There was fire in our guts, and we deserved to name a proper victor.
Episode 8, The Votes Are In. Yodaha proudly displays his legendary catch to the Fisher God. The astonished fisherman has never seen such a species before, yet he too presents a different legendary fish of his own. The result of the duel is essentially a draw, an outcome that doesn't sit well with either angler. The votes are in.
Vern saw the determination plain on our faces.
You guys aren't gonna let this go, are you? Game's back on then.
Lyria pondered for a moment and made a suggestion.
How about whoever fishes up the most happiness? That could be interesting.
What?
A genius suggestion. This island was under Avia's control, terrifying the population. It would be a saintly move to give them cheer with a side of full bellies. It was settled. We would go with Lyria's suggestion. He who could bring the most happiness to the island would take it. After a nod to one another, the fisher god and I set out to do some real fishing.
Ha 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 ha, real fishing.
Keep up if y'all can. Hope we come across a good fishing spot.
In this blizzard, how are you gonna even see your rod?
Ancient technique.
They added Bonito to the glossary. Fiddlesticks!
I can hear running water. You think this here hole has a river at the bottom? Oh.
Try and stop me!
Hey. We're just looking to fish. But if you want to be a sushi platter, step right up.
Lay it on him!
No problem.
Nice teamwork.
Oh, I didn't realize you guys were still fighting back here.
Can fish even live in weather this
The colder the weather,
I wasn't even standing in that.
make some good barbecue.
Well, that's neat. You learn something cool every day.
Italian.
Go time!
It's over.
You're dead! Damn! It's so
No
hard
eye
to match your
contracting.
speed!
Like what you didn't see, huh?
Ray of Fury, Infinite Wonder!
This is the same place where Lancelot ended up in his Fate episode too. This is where the chest was.
Ooh, that spot looks swell. This place is perfect. Let's get started.
Holy crap! Looks like the monsters caught our scent.
Curse their timing. We'll clean them up right quick. Out the boat! We have to keep up!
Let's
Watch
dance.
them flounder! You're not afraid to get into the thick of it.
I haven't felt pain or fear in the longest time. Too long, really.
Keep up! Oh yeah! One more! Stay together! Let the wreck come on!
Right.
Our back! Who else wants to die? Scaring that.
Amusing.
I wouldn't be so sure. Looks like we got a big fella on our hands next.
For real? We don't have time for this.
Yep. And judging by its bad attitude, I don't think it's gonna let us leave without a fight.
It's right there!
Now this here's a sight for sore eyes. Sorry, Sub, but you're between us and our fishing spot. No running for me. Hey. Oh yeah. Hey.
No place to hide!
Strike.
You got it!
Don't let that weapon suck your soul dry.
Don't worry, I know how to handle it. Fair enough. I was just getting bored.
Gotta bring
on before we get it done. This desserts. Watch and learn.
Show no mercy.
That was a good. Got my chest and arm all warmed up. Oh, I hope we didn't scare off the fish. Ah. All that work's got me tuckered out.
That's a biggin'.
Results day had arrived. Residents of Seed Hollow were gathering, waiting to see what bounty we could share.
Feast your eyes. I have caught the elusive brave scale.
The Fisher God took to the podium. The largest fish in this skydom strung up behind him. The crowd was wowed by the sheer scale of the thing, and I was no exception. Should have known he'd come out with rod blazing.
How did an old man muster the strength to pull this thing out of the water?
But I, on the other fin, took a different approach. Behold! All these humble shalmen who make their home in these very rivers.
Shalman.
I sure wasn't gonna win through size, but maybe superior numbers would do the trick. Next, the Fisher God and I began to fillet our catches, sharing sushi, soup, and ceviche of all sorts with the crowd.
The Brave Beam is delicious. And how do you beat that impact?
The shellman is just as good. It's so fresh and it's been served at the optimal temperature. Absolutely perfect.
Well, this is now becoming like a cook-off instead of a fish-off.
Everywhere we looked, there were people enjoying our efforts. Even the crew were getting their fill while they could. But since it was a competition, next up was evaluations. Members of the crowd were to vote on whose catch made them feel better, both in flavor and in general happiness. One after the other, the votes piled up for the Fisher God. It was starting to look hopeless, but there was a special reason I chose to serve the shellman. I wasn't panicking just yet.
Shall we call it there, friend?
I gotta hand it to you, Fisher God. You served some delicious fish. But let's see how it plays out. While I was talking, a cute little scamp, snot running down his nose and everything, cast a vote for me.
You didn't want to vote for the big fish, sweetie?
It was too big and scary. I like the small fishies.
The Fisher God's breath caught for a moment, and I knew he understood my plan.
Cater to the children. They're easy to win over.
All right. We've got lunch specials. Good food, good price. Yes. Can I help you?
Episode 9, The Essence of Fishing. Today is the day people determine which fisherman has created the most happiness with their catch. The Fisher God presents the biggest fish in Zega Grande, while Yodarha shows off a wagon load of common salmon. All but one vote for the Fisher God. Yodarha's single vote comes from a little boy. When the Fisher God hears the reason behind the boy's vote, he realizes he is lost. The Essence of Fishing.
The Fisher God bowed his head and admitted I was the winner. But before I could humbly accept his withdrawal, Vern voiced honest confusion.
Looking at the votes, you're the clear winner, aren't you?
Not at all. Without this master of the rod opposite me, these results wouldn't have been possible.
He spoke from the heart. Moved me a bit to hear that he understood me through and through.
It's ordinary fish, ones we consume daily, that bring us health and happiness. Delicacies shine because they're a rare treat, but well-being is built on something more than rarity. Hearing that youngster speak, I understood what Yodarha was trying to tell me. The fact I couldn't surmise for myself is proof of my hubris.
What if that one kid did not speak up?
He continued.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, a child's smile will do more for a village's well-being than all the legendary fish in the sea. That's what I should have been aiming for.
A smirk sat on his lips as he turned to me.
Congratulations, Yodarha. Even had I won this competition, I concede in our fish-off. You are the rightful victor. I've learned much from our duel. I thank you from the depths of my heart.
Never in my days had I met a more worthy gentleman. And you, good sir, helped this old minnow rediscover his love of the sport. After the voting had concluded, the townsfolk were still savoring our dishes. Both Brave Bream and Shalman were a hit. The satisfied smiles of the people were evidence of this. But, as all good things must come to an end, so too did the feast. Despite the mountain of fish we started with, not a single fillet was left. I turned to the fisher god, a gleam in my eye. And though he just admitted defeat, his eye held the same twinkle. You want a race to see who can get this place spick and span quicker?
You're gonna challenge the old man to clean up the place?
We were no longer rivals. We were brothers of the rod. And this little competition would tide us over till our next real match.
Epilogue. Epic Fish Tale. The Fisher God explains his reason for conceding. Common fish fuel people in their daily lives, thus promoting good health, which is the source of everyday happiness. Both anglers express mutual satisfaction over their intense competition, and they promise this won't be the last of their matches. Epic Fish Tale.
We were shopping at Sierro's when the merchant herself popped up from behind the counter. Apparently she'd been waiting on us, ready to share the latest seaworthy gossip.
A certain rumor swam earlier this month. You see, people are saying there are 2 fisher gods working the skydom. Would you know anything about that?
Vern and Lyria gasped in surprise before turning to give me a curious look.
Could it be?
You know, I never meant to keep making a name for myself, but old habits die hard, don't they? Sounds like quite the handsome fella. Can't wait to meet him.
Yay, finished all the fates. Let's look at our new archive entries.
All right, see you.
Thanks for the stretch, Kieran. I appreciate it. Zega Grande Fishipedia. Brave Scale. Scientific name, Dinictis grampices. Brave scale are large fish distinguishable by their jointed necks. They often stick out of wagon carts due to their long length. The species was discovered by the Fisher God, a legendary angler known to those in Zega Grande's fishing circles. He has made a massive contribution to the advancement of marine life classification. We can't wait to see what else he discovers. Jewelfin, scientific name, Retoxurina varia, are cartilaginous fish belonging to the Elasmobranchi subclass. Its name is derived from the prismatic display of color as light reflects off its scales. Long rumored to exist but never proven, it was finally spotted by a traveler named Yodarha. Zega Grande Marine Research Publishing. Bonito. Oh, I thought they'd put a picture of the Bonito because it does have an image. Jewelfin. Brave Scale. Chalman.
The crew is safe with me.
Oh, are we going on a field trip?
Your wish is my command.
I'm ready to fight.
Nice.
Come to view the requests?
So the Fate episodes were overall pretty fun. I mean, they were kind of, I'll admit, they were kind of boring streams because a lot of it was stuff that was already narrated for us and it was just still pictures with text, and a lot of them were kind of mid. They showed off the characters, but they weren't like super exciting. But I appreciate you guys hanging around and listening to me commentate on them. I think the best one is still Cagliostro's. I think Cagliostros has everything that I was looking for in it. It had character development, showed us about her past, showed us about her character. It was interesting, it had a twist to it, it had a good message behind it. I think Veins was the second best one, I think. Oh. Thank you for the chaos. I think Veins was the second best. His was just a feel-good one. It did a really good job with showing off his character, and the kids were cute, and the message behind it was good. I really liked Ganda Goza's as well, just because his was just really funny. And actually I was talking to my friend about one of the reasons why they had him narrate less of it might have been because his Japanese seiyuu passed away, which is kind of sad to hear. Granblue is very respectful to the seiyus who voice their characters and pass away, because like there's one character, Althea, in the game whose voice actor passed away quite early in Granblue's development, and then they didn't really release any new content for him for a very long time before they finally recast him. And then same with Eugen's voice actor passed away, and then they waited a while before recasting him for the main story and just kept like generic voice lines in for him in the story too. So it's kind of interesting. Worst Fate episodes, I think Narmaya's was the worst by far, and it's not just because I don't like her. It was just very boring and showed us a weird side of her that didn't jive and had a bad message behind it. I mean, obviously at the end the moral was correct, but I didn't like it, and it didn't involve any interesting NPCs or any interesting crewmates or any really other characters in it besides her. I think the other one I didn't really like was Zeta's. It was just too weird. It had a charming NPC, but it was just too weird, and I don't like how it didn't really have a message at the end or a moral or a real conclusion to it. Unfortunately, I think Lancelot's was very boring too. And his was the first one we did chronologically, and it wasn't a bad Fate episode. It showed his, well, it didn't really show us anything much about his personality. It had a story, it had an NPC, it had a twist at the end, but it was just very mid. It was just very boring. And the fact that it was the first one we did didn't really help either. Hey Drago, welcome to the stream. Narmai at the end was literally the third time we've been through that exact Fate for. Like, she does that stuff like that all the time too in her Fate episodes, and it's like, come up with a new story, come up with a new shtick, girl. Oh, also Eos was pretty good too. It wasn't quite the same level as like Gandagoza, Vayne, and Cagliostro's, but I think it had a good message behind it. It was sweet. The boss battle was actually kind of fun, especially playing as Io, who was not equipped with any sigils, was kind of like a good level of difficulty to keep it kind of fresh. So I wish that the battles in all of the Fate episodes between all the characters was a little bit similar. And I'm not just talking about the fact that some characters I had leveled more than others, but like some battles were just very quick, and then some of them were like, here's 2 mini boss battles, or here's like a giant horde, and the other ones would be like, oh, here, defeat this one dinky enemy that, you know, dies like quickly. So I wish there was a little bit more balance across the board there.
Have a nice day.
Now, before we leave off, there's still one thing left to do. We need to finish that last side quest that I just picked up today that I found. So we're gonna do that, and then I'll fast forward to the turn-in for that one. Hey Hakaze, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for coming by. Okay, let's turn this one in. There we go. Now I got the achievement for the Steam achievement for all side quests complete. Nice. So with that, we've kind of covered everything this game has to offer in terms of story content. All the side quests, all the co-op quests, all the main story. Of course, there's still things I need to farm out. I'm still gonna keep farming. I think I'll try to get a Stout Heart for Cagliostro and Rosetta. And then I'll need to keep farming and see and pray that I can get some supplemental damage 5s for Vayne, and also like an actual character sigil for Vayne that has a useful sub ability on it. But I'll do that casually, off stream. And I guess the only thing we have left to do is wait until the release of the Lucilius raid in March, and then in April we'll get Xiaofan and Tuyen. I keep wanting to call them by their Japanese names, that's why I keep pausing every time I have to say their names. And then they said there's going to be another update, at least one other update after that as well, which is a mystery for now. But I hope they continue updating the game, not just with characters, but with raids and just more things to come, because this game's really fun. It's fun mostly because you get to play with your friends, and, you know, I am a Granblue fan, so that helps too. I think the characters are very charming, even though my favorite characters are not in this game. The art style's nice, the gameplay's fun. I like how every character plays unique and has like a unique mechanic in which you use to play them. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it'd be cool if they also added some costumes to this game besides just palette swaps, but that might be a little bit too much to ask for, but we'll see. We'll see. So tomorrow, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out. So it's actually, we're finishing this just in time. Perfect timing. And so we're going to be playing that. And then we'll keep going until we finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And then I still haven't completely decided if I want to do Unicorn Overlord. But I also still need to finish Persona 3 Reload. So it'll be a little bit of a balancing act between all those. But it's been so much fun. And I think, of course, the fact that this game is co-op, it's been fun doing streams with my friends playing these games. Like, I used to love playing like Tales of games on the couch with my friends, and we all play together, and this kind of gives me a little bit of the same feeling. And it's kind of funny because I'm not really a Monster Hunter fan. Like, I tried playing a little bit of Monster Hunter World, I just really couldn't get into it, but maybe it's because here I actually feel an attachment to the characters, and there's a story, and I like the world, so maybe, I don't know, maybe that's more of it, the reason why I was really into it. But it's been good. It's been good. So if anyone is still sitting on this game or thinking about getting it and you're really unsure, I'd say go for it. But if you're not sure, on PlayStation there is a demo for this game. Also, you need to keep in mind that it's not cross-platform. So if you play on Steam, you can only play with Steam friends. If you play on PlayStation, you can only play with PlayStation friends. And only the PlayStation version comes with a special serial code that you can use in the mobile game for a skin for Gran, as well as some material mats to help you recruit an Eternal character or an Evoker character. So things to consider. It's also like Granblue Fantasy 10th anniversary month this month. So they have a special event running all month, and there's free draws all month, and it'll conclude at the end of March. So it's a really good time to start the mobile game if you are not someone who's familiar with it. And again, you can just play it from your Chrome browser instead. You don't even need to reinstall something on your phone, which is kind of nice. But I mean, not a sponsor, but I do like Granblue, and it is a good time to get into it if that is your thing. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming by. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching me do the Fate episodes, which again I think were kind of more boring streams, and it was like 5 streams of this stuff, so I appreciate you guys. Let's say hello to Trim. Now he's playing Virtue's Last Reward. So if you don't want spoilers for Virtue's Last Reward, I don't know where he is in the game. I like that game a lot. It's actually on my list of things to stream again, because we did do 999 on the channel, but I never did Virtue's Last Reward, and that is a game I want to do, but then there's been so many new releases I haven't had time, so let's go say hi to him, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more, not for more, but for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Thank you everyone, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye!